Are we recording?
Yeah, it is
We're
recording.
on.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
How
Well,
you
thanks for
doing?
having me back.
Yeah, of course. How's the volume? Are you good volume?
Dude, I'm totally good volume
All
wise.
right, nice. Hell yeah. How's the first baby on the pod?
First baby on the podcast, Baby Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah, might be the lowest ranked jiu-jitsu guy to ever hop on the pod too.
Wow, maybe. Probably. There's probably lessers.
Oh, you? Oh, okay. Gotcha. I try to have him like work like lassos every now and then when I change his diaper. Like have like his foot swing in and like push away.
Exactly.
And then like one thing he does is like he'll like grip with his feet. And if this guy ever wants to get into spider guard, that's like a skill I want to get going, you know?
He's
so
going.
like I reinforce the gripping of the feet whenever I hold them.
Nice,
you know?
what a beast.
Yeah.
He definitely is more advanced than some people that have been on here. Though,
Yeah, definitely.
Because some people that have been on have never even heard of the word jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Probably, you know?
Yeah.
And
When
then,
you first... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I remember when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, like I'd have to say, oh, I do this like wrestling thing. And now when I say it, everyone knows exactly what I'm talking
It's
about.
become much more popularized for sure. Just in like recent years, for sure.
Yeah, it's almost like I would say like how like CrossFit had like a huge surge like 5-10 years ago. Like that's where we're at with jiu-jitsu. It's very much a household thing.
It's definitely way more mainstream. I'm the same way. When I very first started, you say jiu-jitsu and like first off, most people can't repeat it back to you.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu,
like I can't even say it right.
Like what is it again?
Yeah.
And then like I would say like something like wrestling. It's like it's similar to wrestling.
Yeah.
And then you may have to go into like a deep explanation of like the differences and everything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It is cool how mainstream jiu-jitsu is becoming. Like it's super fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like, you know, we started around similar times, I think. I know you had started and then took a break.
I took like a 5-year hightus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when I got back into it, you were like a 4-stripe white belt.
Yeah.
So like we pretty much were at like the same level when I came back.
And you were like a blue, like a beginning blue at that time, right?
A suspect blue belt.
Suspect
but yeah.
blue. Well, probably when you gave out the blue, everyone was a little bit more suspect.
Yeah.
Or when you got the blue.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I got it like when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I was as tall as I am now, and I'm 6'2", and I weighed 130 pounds.
Oh wow,
dude! I was like this like skinny,
you're a long
kid.
boy.
Hence why I got into jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like needed it.
Yeah.
And so like you know how like some people start and they like pick it up real quick. Like I think John, you know, Jace too. Like he was like a natural athlete. He picked it up a little bit quicker, you know. Versus like some people, and I won't name drop, you know, like, and I'm one of them. I don't mean to talk shit. Like it takes
a long time to catch on.
Yeah, like a guy who's been training for a month, even if they've been training for 6, that guy with the month still might beat him.
For sure.
We see it. And I was one of those guys. You know, it took me a little bit longer to get it, but hey, stick with it. You end up here, you know?
That's it, yeah. I am very interested on what the difference is between people that like, I mean, it seems more clear to me on the people that like are the 3-year white belts or 4-year white belts that like, it seems almost that they're just not paying attention, like, or they're just like not, and maybe that's not as drastic as it was for you, but like, I know some people that it's like, it just seems like you're just maybe not like trying the move of the day. You're not trying to just like, there's not a conscious approach. You're almost just showing up and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
But the difference between that and like a person like Joseph Chen, who like started and within like, what was it, like 3 or 4 years, he's like winning ADCC trials, beating the best black belts in the world. Like that's incredible how fast that guy learned stuff. Yeah,
and on that same note, like, you know, like BJ Penn got a black belt in 3 years and became world champion.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like it's not like
what a unit.
Yeah, you know, but
he had like not only jiu-jitsu, but like MMA jiu-jitsu, which is like probably arguably better.
Oh, 100%,
right?
100%. Because I mean, bro, like I'm not pulling guard in a real fight. First, that's all I do in jiu-jitsu. You
exactly,
know, yeah, but it's crazy how some people just pick it up way quicker than others. You know, I think having like any kind of sports background helps. But like outside of wrestling, I feel like the best backgrounds, like where people pick it up like dumb quick. Like, have you ever rolled with a breakdancer?
A break dancer? No, I know that one 10th Planet guy is like a big break dancer.
Dude, like I've rolled with a couple like when they're new, and it's just like they move in a way that like a white belt shouldn't be able to.
Interesting.
You know, and then another weird one. We have a couple that one love rock climbers. Their grip might as well be that of a brown belt.
Grip strength is insane. Yeah, and just like general strength, it's almost like calisthenic strength, like crazy. Like I remember I was rolling with Caleb the other day. And like I had him in like I was working my underhooks from mount. And I had him in like this position where he's like holding like it shouldn't be able to be that strong from here. But I was like, okay, I'll just hold this and I'll cook him from here. Within like a minute, you're gonna gas out, and then I'll like finish the underhook. And it was like I think we were in that position for like 4 minutes of me trying to like work it through, just holding like a pull from that position on my whole upper body, trying to work against it, and I just couldn't get his arm up.
Yeah.
So that is crazy.
Nuts, man. Yeah, because I mean, like, we've had like, you know, all different sorts of types of guys come in and out of the gym, right? And like, you'll see some guys and maybe they like lifted a bunch and they're huge, but it doesn't translate to the mat.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus you'll find some guy, he kind of has like a skinny build and for whatever reason just has retard strength.
Yeah.
You know, like it makes no sense.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly really like when a big yokes motherfucker comes in, because it's like, this would be a good tell for, you know, how some people that get super strong just think they can automatically fight because of that as well. This would be how it would be like going against one of those people.
And they gas out quick, dude.
Yeah. Like when like JPEG first started. JPEG's a monster.
He is a monster.
I forget I saw he was posting his max. He used to post his maxes. Like he was like benching like close to 500 pounds or something at one point. It's insane.
Yeah.
He just put an absolute unit. And so like working one of those people in jiu-jitsu is like really fun.
Yeah. But it's a good way to like tell like this works.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like it is like straight up reality. Like it's crazy how effective it is. Because I don't think I'm the strongest guy. I don't think I'm the most athletic. I don't think I'm the smartest. But like, God damn, dude. Like, you throw me someone who's never trained before, it might as well be a baby.
For sure.
Like, I'll do whatever I want.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah. I would say, like, it is a big part of it would be about, like, getting a hold of them. Like, you have to actually close the distance and get a hold of someone. Because in the distance, everyone's got a puncher's chance.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like, some just big, strong motherfucker could just swing and knock you out. So you do got to be able to close the distance and get him to the ground. But, like, that's why I do think wrestling is super important.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to work it in there and being, like, decent at just taking down a motherfucker.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we see that in MMA, why wrestlers do so much better. Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, it's interesting, too, some guys who are fantastic at jiu-jitsu, like Kron Gracie, for example, just like an extremely great black belt.
Incredible.
You know, and then just does horrible in MMA. Yeah. Which, by the way, one of his lowlights is making this rounds again, because I think it was against Bryce Mitchell.
Where he pulled.
Yeah, jumped guard and then just fucking got
can't do that.
TKO'd right away.
Yeah, because I mean, Bryce Mitchell's he's not as high of a caliber as a black belt, but like you're not gonna catch him in some dumb shit either.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like the MMA jiu-jitsu is like really different.
It is.
You know, that's one thing I like going to
Welch's.
Yeah, Welch's gym, because it's a bunch of MMA guys, and a lot of their game is like fuck your jiu-jitsu.
Right. They just ignore it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just disengage.
It's disengaged completely. It's only wrestle, and then it's like they don't play within the guard. They're not trying to get to half guard. They're trying to blitz and get to dominant positions, mostly through blitzes and stuff. It's like high pace stuff. Yeah. It's not like, you know, the death of 1,000 cuts type thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's very cognizant of like being able to strike from here or not, and then like disengage and try to get around.
Yeah.
So like trying to force those guys into your game is like a complex puzzle that's like kind of fun to try to figure out.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because like if like someone doesn't want to play the game.
Yeah.
You know,
how do you do it?
Yeah, it turns into like a whole different aspect of grappling.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Eric Platt like did a good job of trying to like kind of explain it to me, is that like you have to start thinking about like what's the reaction to like everything you're doing. Like if I'm pulling right here, what's going to be the reaction so I can follow up immediately?
Sure.
You know, like creating reactions. Like if he's just staying on the outside, if I start to pull him in, well, he's going to have to react pulling it back. It's like about immediately coming up to, you know, the wrestle up or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like this, like, do you know Yogi Nogi, Josh?
Yeah.
So like, I forgot exactly how he said it, but it lines up with what you were just saying. He would say like, speed is better than not having speed, but a well-timed counter is always going to beat speed.
Yeah.
Like if you can just anticipate what's going to happen, like the speed goes out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you competed at black belt yet?
Yeah, I just did like a couple of weeks ago.
Someone might be asking how to go.
My first match, not too well.
Yeah. It's the debut.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, and also I wasn't getting any training. It's all excuses, but like, you know, I just moved into here, was like doing all that stuff.
A little off and on with training.
Yeah, I had like basically a good week of training before, and then I saw like fucking 17 of our boys are signed up. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm back. I'm training. I'm fucking sending it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we go, and then like immediately it was this kid who they said he was like a 3-time like state champion wrestler.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So like one of my worst type of matchups too, because I do like to wrestle and stuff. And so when I'm forced to pull guard against like a strong wrestler, it's like one of the worst type of matchups for me. But like I got him in a good leg entanglement right away. I had like a bite on the heel hook too.
Oh nice.
And he just rolled. It like popped, but we rolled completely out of bounds. And then in this rule set, if you roll out of bounds in a submission, you just get reset and I get 2 points.
Okay.
And so that happened. I had like another good attempt, but like he just ran up the score on me. I wasn't being super cognizant of points. I was just trying to like fucking go for submissions again. And so it ended up being like 22-4 or something.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And then second match, I won by straight ankle lock.
Nice.
So I got like third place.
No surprise there.
Yeah. Fucking gay. Pisses me off. I gotta get back out there and get back after it.
Yeah. I made my black belt debut 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
And I did a gi match, and I signed up for Masters 1, and the day before the tournament, the guy in my bracket pulled out. So they threw me an adult.
Oh, nice.
And I always stalk my opponents. I know it's probably not the best idea. Bro, I looked them up. Whole Instagram page in Portuguese, 30,000 followers, does jiu-jitsu full time. And honestly, I was kind of like, you know what? I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because like, there's no shame if I lose to a guy like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm at least going to give him a hard time. No.
No,
dude. Like, you know how like there's like black belts and then there's like black belts.
Yeah.
Like I would say like Issa's up there, that Matt guy, that Yuma black belt. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, for sure.
They're just like a cut above like a normal black belt.
They're guys who make other black belts look like blue belts.
Bro, literally, this guy treated me like a white belt.
Fuck.
Like I like looked human for about 40 seconds, and then it was just pure survival.
Yeah.
And now he's posting highlight reels all over Instagram.
Damn. Did he end up submitting you? Or did
Oh,
you
yeah.
get, okay.
Yeah. Because it was best 2 out of 3 because he was the only guy.
Yeah.
First one, I pulled out his lapel and he like looked up at me and I immediately pulled.
Oh, okay.
And even after the match we were talking about it, he's like, yeah, I knew you were going to go for worm.
Yeah.
And he pulled and I like broke open his guard, make some like decent pass attempts. And then he got this like deep De La Hiva on me.
Yeah.
Sweat my ass, got my back, bow and arrow.
Fuck.
Second round, I was like, all right, like I'm going to like grab and drop. Like I'm not wasting time with the pull. And I grabbed and dropped. And you know, like that super common guard pull we all drill, like where you grab, break the grip, grab the same side sleeve, put your foot on the hip on the same side as the sleeve. I hit that and he hit this sick counter. And of course he has a breakdown video on it on me.
Oh, really?
But he grabbed both of my lapels. And as I pulled, he like crunched me towards him so I couldn't extend that leg. So he just immediately blitzed right past me. And I was just hanging on for dear life until he eventually took my arm.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. But hey, you know, like at every belt level, I've lost my debut by submission. And then towards the end, like at brown belt, like I catch a crazy win streak. And I'm sure black belt will be a little bit different because now we're at this stage where we're going to go up against guys who maybe have been black belts for 10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So like it might be like a little bit longer of a road, but it's just a matter of time before we come across some poor new black belt and welcome him, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
For sure. That's true. You know, one thing that's a big difference once you get to the brown and black belt level is that a lot of the people that compete that you go against, this is their career.
Right.
This is what they do for work.
That's how my guy was.
This is what they do. This is what they want to do for their life. You know? So like, well, you and I have jobs and you've got a baby and other things that maybe other people have babies too.
No, I know what you mean though.
But like people like this is their day job. You know, they own schools or like this is what they want to do for work. So
this guy was brought out from Brazil to teach at a school. Like
for
this
sure.
is all he does.
Exactly. Like I keep a level of dedication of jiu-jitsu that's probably much above your average practitioner or hobbyist or something. But at the same time, there's always fucking levels to it.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're not training twice a day.
Yeah.
We're not like studying tape 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, there's going to be a cut above.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And especially the circulation of knowledge now, like with instructionals and stuff.
Yeah.
I really do feel that like the tough part about it for me is that like, it feels like sort of mining for that one little piece of gold. Like if you've watched instructionals before, like some of it, it's like a lot of it is not new information or is not super useful. Like sometimes I'll watch like an hour and find one little thing that'll change my game.
Oh, sure.
And like I was that with like leg locks, actually. This one detail that like completely exponentially helped my finishing rate.
I gotcha.
That, like, and so like I just don't have the time. I mean, I probably do, but I just dedicate it to other things.
No, I hear you.
Yeah,
you got other things going on.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like I feel like once I hit about purple, like the only like breakthroughs I had was when someone was way better than me could point out something small that made all the difference in the world.
Exactly.
And that's still where I'm at.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
like because you and I, like, we're at the stage where, like, there may not be a huge improvement 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure we'll get a little bit better,
Yeah.
but, like, if we were to roll the version of ourselves from 3 months prior, it'd probably be pretty even.
Pretty close, yeah.
You know, but every now and then, like, you learn something that's like
One little
breakthrough.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
just changes everything.
Yeah, that is interesting because it's like that's why I'm like really interested in like the Joseph Chens and stuff because it's like for
what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot of it is I think instructional research. Like it is like, and that's one thing that like Gordon points out is that like everyone will fucking bojada for 2 hours straight. Like everyone's willing to put in the physical hard work, but a few people are willing to put in the mental hard work.
Yeah,
and that's really what it is. It's like it's hard work, but it's outside of the gym and it's boring and stuff. So
yeah, it is. It is boring.
It's boring. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I haven't been dedicating time towards it.
No, I'm the same way because I kind of treat jiu-jitsu as like unwinding, getting exercise,
exactly.
you know, and obviously we're still getting better, but compared to the Joseph Chen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
for sure. That. Yeah, because it's not super clear on how to get better. Right?
It's not.
Yeah, besides like instructional is probably a pretty clear way, but besides that, like within the gym, you know, it's not like super clear. What do I focus on today that's going to make me better for sure?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But hey, tis the journey.
Tis the journey. So what's it like being a father now?
Oh,
you got
man.
a little Nino.
I figured you'd ask this.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like I'm more of like a caretaker stage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm just kind of like taking
he's
care
just
of
helpless.
I'm just taking care of a potato. You know, like and obviously I love him to death, but like it's not like he's like doing anything where I'm like, don't do that or hey, good job on this. It's like no, I just gotta like be the best caretaker I could be at this stage. You know, but it definitely like wasn't like a complete 180 change like I thought it'd be. Like I'm still Brent, still got my independence, and like granted, my wife, you know, she's amazing. Like you know, like I have a really good partner where I can still have like my independence, like go to the gym and things like that. But really, not that much has changed.
Really,
to be honest, less sleep.
Yeah, less sleep.
But
do you like people say they have babies and then just like the love that they experience is like something that they've never felt like ever? Is that something that you felt, or you don't really like him that much?
He's okay. No, man. Yeah, no, he's amazing. Because I mean, like, I think where people feel that and where I feel that is like I look at it and I'm like, yo, that's me.
Yeah.
And like it's not just me; it's also like the woman I married. You know, it's like double.
Yeah.
You know, and then like.
It's a little combo of you two.
Yeah, I mean, because if you asked me 5 years ago if I wanted a kid, and by the way, he was completely planned.
Yeah.
If you asked me 5 years ago if I wanted a kid, I'd be like, hell no.
Really? You didn't want kids when you were...
I didn't. No. Oh, wow. And I think half of it was, I don't want to get all political, but like, I didn't know if I could trust a woman enough to have a kid with her. You know, because like, if she wants to say I'm abusive, like and lie on or something like that, like
what are you gonna do?
You're fucked. Yeah, it's the system's not rigged in your favor, and I'm not trying to blame the system because obviously bad things do happen to moms. Like they should be able to speak out and kind of get their way if they need it. Like I'm happy it's that way, but like I was like, man, if you marry the wrong chick, like this gets bad. Any bad relationship you could just walk away from. Not if you got a kid. You're intertwined for the rest of your life. So Hannah honestly gave me the confidence to be like, oh no, I want kids. And early on, I started hitting this like mindset of like, I have like a duty to reproduce. You know, like conservative estimates, I think have like Homo sapiens around for like 50,000 years. And that's conservative estimates. Some people
50,000 years left?
No, like Homo sapiens popped up at least 50,000 years ago. But some people are saying 250,000 years.
Yeah.
So like, you and I are here because of people that were around, let's just say 100,000 years ago. And for me to be like, I don't want to keep it going. That'd be like disrespecting my ancestors.
Yeah, the bloodline.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I owe it to my bloodline to like reproduce.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and obviously I love them. I'm happy to be a dad. But like that was like got me fired up. The night, I'm pretty sure I remember the night I got Hannah pregnant.
Really?
So we were going through like wedding presents, and I have an aunt that lives out in like a Chicago suburb.
Yeah.
And like super woke liberal. She teaches like gender studies at a university. She's a professor out there.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen her since I was like 9 or 10 years old.
She's like, I'm having 11 kids. I gotta outpopulate her.
So, and you know, like, it's my dad's sister, and like they didn't really get along, hence why I didn't see her. And I was like, you know what? Just because like my family has an issue with her doesn't mean I do. I'm gonna invite her.
Yeah.
And she was
to
able to. So I invited her to the wedding, and she has Parkinson's, so like I don't think she was able to make it for like health reasons. But anyways, she sent me a present, and maybe I showed them to you. It's those like dishes dating back from like the 1800s in my laundry room.
Yeah.
And then with it, she sent a letter. And like, it was like a 3-page letter on how like, when like our family came here from Europe, like we started in Pennsylvania, then made our way to like Illinois. And it was just like beautifully written of like the history. And then the letter ended with like, now you're here.
Yeah.
In Arizona, and you're about to like get married and start your own life and have kids. And I was like, oh, I got to keep it going.
Yeah.
I got to keep it going. And I'm pretty sure that night I got Hannah pregnant.
Wow.
It was like the motivation.
You just decided to.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
How sick. Yeah. That's sick. I do think about my ancestors a lot too. Because like, that is super interesting. Like, what really? I always said I wanted to have like 11 kids.
Yeah.
Me and Taylor negotiated down to 4. But
that's reasonable.
It's more maybe reasonable. But like, what like first kicked that off is like, my mom's born in England, and I went back to England for the first time, or her first time, since she was like 16 or something.
Oh wow.
When I was like 19.
Yeah.
And I went back, and then I went to this family party of mine, and my grandma is one of 7 children. So like her mom is one of 7 children.
Yeah.
And you know, and then like she had like, you know, each of those 7 children's had like 3 to 5 kids or something, you know.
Big family.
And so we go back, and like being from, you know, my mom's born in England, lived in Arizona. My dad's born in New York, lived over here. I don't really have a big local family here, and then so never having like a big family growing up, and then but then I'm 19, I go back, and then I see we have this family party, and there's no less than 100 people there, crazy. And this guy's an uncle and an aunt and a cousin, and you know, everyone's like related to me in some fashion, and I'm like, damn, 2 people were like the fucking. We're the patriarch and matriarch of this like
empire.
Yeah, this like so many people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be that with my old lady, just sitting back having like tons of kids, tons of grandkids.
Yeah,
I think that'd be so fucking cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
no, I hear you on that. I definitely think it's like my grandma. She was one of 11 kids, I think, and so like same thing on that side of the family. Yeah, just like there's like family reunions. There's like 80 people there.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, like nowadays. I don't know how the average person gets along.
That's the thing. It's so fucking expensive, but people make a way. And like another thing, going back to the ancestors, like my, cause like one time I took a ton, maybe like 6 or 7 tabs of acid or something, just by myself in my condo. And like, I had this like extremely powerful experience where like I like talked to my grandpa who like passed away when I was 6 years old, and I thought about everything that he had done for my family and my bloodline. And he was like, he joined the war at like 18 or 19 years old. He was born in Yugoslavia, joined the war fighting against the fucking Nazis.
Crazy.
Was stationed in England as a like because they were allies. Yeah. And you know, that's where he met my grandma. Had 2 kids over there, decided he wasn't making enough money in England, came to America to make more money, started working in the coal mine here. Wow. And fucking like, that's the reason that I'm here. And like, he was an amazing person. His light like kind of shined through to my mom, who's an amazing person. And that's the reason I'm here. Like all this hardship and things that he's went through. And for me, I'm like, fucking, I gotta like make shit happen.
You can't just sit around.
Yeah.
It would be disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like he didn't
right
work
there
in
with
coal mines, go from Yugoslavia to England to the States and for fucking nothing.
Dude, you got to make that bloodline and God proud.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't just sit around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get me fired up, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to make another kid. Yeah.
Hey, baby, get ready. Coming home.
My dick's hard.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think it does hype me up even thinking about my grandkids. Like, I want them to be the beneficiaries of an empire and thinking like, damn, grandpa just fucking got to work.
Yeah.
And like, this is all because of him. Like, all that does hype me up.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
How's the little man doing?
Dude, he's good. He's a little fussy, but we're good. Hopefully this padding's not getting too much into the mic.
Yeah. I don't know, honestly. I think it's pretty good with outside noise.
All right, hell yeah.
I think there's also a way to like reduce outside noise or something.
Perfect.
Or non-focal things.
Got the fancy setup.
Yeah, not bad. My homie's like an editor for it. So actually, I've never even met him. He was like a connection, but it seems like a pretty cool guy.
Nice.
From our conversations and stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anyways, you want to see my katana?
Yeah, hell yeah, I want to see your katana. Yeah, where'd you get this?
We talked about it at the beginning, but I forgot to do it. This guy, I think it's called The Sword Guy online.
Okay.
Like theswordguy.com or something.
Oh, damn. That's sick.
Yeah, I've been thinking about making like a video of like eating a steak with it. Yeah, it's like a real knife though. You could like stab someone with
That's
it.
sick.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, are you a firearm owner?
Yeah.
I gotcha. So if someone breaks in,
Katana or the firearm? It's a good question. I've been thinking about that. I don't have like really a firearm like ready to go. I'd have to like get it out and stuff. So
katana
this is a little bit more available. Yeah. And then like imagine stabbing someone that comes in with a fucking katana.
Dude, that'd be so sick.
It's honestly like not a bad self.
I mean, imagine like two dudes are breaking in and one guy just sees his homie just get sliced. Like, oh man.
Musashi would be so proud.
So proud.
Imagine, like the first guy opens the door and then like the second guy's behind and all of a sudden fucking head just comes right out.
Totally. On a related note, have you ever had like a home break-in or anything like that? Anywhere you've ever lived?
I haven't. When I think it was like right when I moved out of my parents' house, they had someone break into their house at one point. And
like while they were home?
No, they weren't home.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I think they may have like just gotten home after or something. There was no one in the actual place.
Yeah,
but they like fucked up some stuff and they stole some jewelry.
Oh damn. Yeah.
Cocksuckers. Have you?
So, two stories. First one, like it was, I had a roommate. I was living in Tempe at the time, and he would get up at like 5 a.m. to go to work, and he was always like super quiet and respectful. And one day, I wake up to like the noise of like him being like loud as fuck, like slamming cabinets, shuffling a bunch of shit. And I'm like, damn, he's never like this. And I look at my watch, and it's like 6:15, and it hit me. I was like, that's not my roommate. And so like I sprung up out of bed. I'm in my underwear. I look at myself in the mirror, smack myself twice to like wake up and get fired up. And then I remember I opened up my closet. I had a 12 gauge just laying out. And I remember I stared at the 12 gauge like, and I was like, nah. And I was like, I'm gonna go barehanded.
Yeah.
And so I like ran out my bedroom door, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna open the door and like sprint and just tackle whoever it is. And I go out there, and it was like his dog like fucking up the place.
Oh,
and his dog's like,
so what'd I do?
Yeah. The only other time I had something happened, I remember like I had the same shotgun, and I was waiting behind the door. I was like, all right, if this door goes down, I'm shooting. It was, I lived in like a neighborhood by Desert Ridge, and I had this dumbass roommate. She stole someone's phone from a bar.
Whoa.
And it had stupid. And it had the Find My iPhone feature on it. And so she took the iPhone home and turned it off. So it showed last location at the house. So the next day, 3 dudes pull up. And they're like pounding on the door, like trying to open it.
Yeah.
And so I got the 12 gauge out because I was like, look, I understand she committed a crime, but like I could play dumb to that. And at the end of the day, if they break into the house,
like for sure.
I feel like
did you know about it when they came here? Like,
I knew it was up. Yeah, because she told everyone. And of course, we like roasted her for it. Just being a stupid bitch. So, but I had the 12 gauge. I was like, all right, if that door pops open.
Wow.
But they just walked away.
Oh, wow. So, interesting. So she ended up keeping the phone?
She ended up like throwing it away or something.
What an idiot.
This stupid bitch, dude.
I fucking hate people. I hate when people
like
steal shit.
I moved out a month later.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, people are crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
One time I had people shoot up the house I was living in.
Really?
Yeah, we were inside the house while it happened.
Is this in Scottsdale?
In Tempe.
No way.
Yeah, there was we had like it was like a drive-by shooting. Two different shooters because it was like 40 cal and 45 cal bullets.
Oh shit.
In there, like not fucking small
not a little
bullets.
9mm. Yeah.
And like one bullet went through the front window, in and out the front room, in and out another separating wall, and in and out the fridge, and then into a fucking
oh my God,
into a toaster.
That's like a rifle round.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
isn't that wild? I mean, like most of it's thin, like
plaster,
drywall and stuff. Yeah. But the fridge, it went in and out the fridge.
That's
too,
nuts.
and then through. And we were all just fucking, and what's crazy too is that we were all just like, we're college kids, like all 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a room freestyling together. And like we talked about it later. We're like, we're just such fucking dumb cocksuckers. We probably just like attracted that negative energy, which that's probably not what happened. But
I hear what you're saying,
we're
though.
also like fucking motherfucker will shoot you up.
Meanwhile, you're like,
something like that. And no, my one friend was actually a killer freestyler, Fat Matt. He was
Really?
like, he was like, he would go viral.
I wish I had that skill set.
Oh, dude, it's so impressive
It's
when
so
people
impressive.
do that. He was killer. Could change the cadence and had one of those. Who's a big motherfucker. Had like one of those voices that was 2 octaves below the normal human. So like, but anyways, we were all sitting freestyling, and all of a sudden, we all just like belly flop, like fucking dude, right away, like just go to the ground.
Nice.
And then there was something like, I want to say like 15 or 17 bullet holes through the house.
Damn.
Yeah. And we had it on recording because we were recording ourselves.
Oh,
freestyling.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was crazy. We had this little thing, and then all of a sudden.
So like, was it meant for someone else and they accidentally hit your house? Do you know? Or?
Honestly, we never really got any sort of clarity on like what the reason was.
Yeah.
My theory is so we had it was a house with 4 roommates, and like the 4th guy that we moved in at the end was this dude that was from Long Island and lived in California for a while. And this was at the time where like, weed was illegal. Like weed was super cheap in California. It was still illegal here too. And also ultra expensive in New York. And he would do a lot of selling through mail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like he was moving like a good amount of weight, like serious numbers, like at certain times, like 25 pounds or 30 pounds or so, which could be like, close to $100,000 at the time. So, and he was doing it all through mail, which seemed crazy to me too.
Yeah, get intercepted.
Yeah, which was nuts because I remember actually fucking when I lived in the dorms in college, I had a buddy who would get like QPs sent to the dorm in a fucking cereal box. It would be a cereal box and there'd be a half a pound in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is wild. So I don't know what the reason was, but it was more common at the time. So my thought is he made a fucking buy. It was doing a mail deal, and someone got paid and someone didn't get the product, and then someone, most likely you fucking send something and then it gets seized at some point, and then some guy's going to be like, yo, I sent it. I didn't get anything.
Right.
And then like, where, like,
do you split it? How does that work?
Yeah, how does that get solved? So, I mean, that's the only reason that I think someone could fucking try to shoot us.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other reason.
Unless it was random for whatever reason, but
we don't know. Like, I mean, it could have been some sort of gang initiation or something like that, but why'd they shoot only our house?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a gun pulled on you? I mean, granted, being shot at's worse,
but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not like no, that would be the only time.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah, have you?
A cop once did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like super, super long story short.
He thought he was black.
Yeah,
it was dark. I had a hoodie.
It was a prank gone wrong.
Oh, really?
Like I was hanging out with my 2 buddies, Kevin and Jake were their names, and we're in Jake's garage, and we see this like it was like an apartment, but he had a garage on like the bottom floor, and Kevin and I like see this like long thing of like a Saran wrap tube, and we're like, yo, we're gonna tie up Jake with it, and so we're just like fucking around. We got him all tied up, and like we're like chasing him around the apartment complex, like beating them with like the cardboard tube, just messing around.
Yeah.
And like it like quickly evolved. And then it turned into anytime someone walked by, he would get on his knees and we'd be like, "Where's our money?" And we'd like hit him. And then it got even worse. Allegedly, we had like one of those, not airsoft guns, but like a pellet gun. So it didn't have an orange tip.
Oh,
Looks like a real gun. We would like point that at his head, like, "Where's our money?" And people are like walking by with their dog. And so like after like 30 minutes of this, we get bored. As soon as my buddy Kevin put the gun back in his glove box, this cop car rolls around the corner. No lights on, kind of slow. I'm not stupid. I know why the cop car's there. I'm like, let me just talk to the guy.
Yeah.
Like, so I like approach the cop car with like my palms out wide, and he gets out, immediately draws his gun on me and Jake and Kevin. And,
on the ground.
And he's just like, "Hands on the fucking van." And he's like patting us down. He's like, "No ninja shit." And then all of a sudden, another cop car pulls up. Another cop car pulls up. Another cop car pulls up. It's fucking 4th of July in this bitch, dude. There's lights everywhere. The whole place is lit up. I think there was like 10 cop cars in total.
Wow.
They sent the whole force. And like they separated our victim, Jake, away from Kevin and I. And Jake's like, "Dude, this is just a prank gone wrong. Like, I understand why you guys are here." And they think he's like under duress.
Oh, no.
So they're like, "No, you could talk to us. We're here to help you." And he's like, "No, seriously, nothing's wrong." And then this like fat sheriff who like thought he was the hottest shit, but he's just obese as fuck, which I can go off about all day about fat cops, but whatever. And he comes up to Kevin and I, and he's like, "So where's the 4th guy?" And we're like, "Oh, it's just 3 of us." He's like, No. "Where's the 4th guy?" And I'm like, dude, there's just 3 of us. And then all of a sudden, this spotlight hits me. There's a helicopter. They fucking called in a helicopter on us. He's like, you see that fucking helicopter? We're going to find your buddy. Where is he at? Give him up. And I'm like, dude, there's no 4th guy. Like, and so finally, Jake, our victim, was able to be like, dude, this is just a prank.
Yeah.
And the cops, like, all of a sudden, the mood shifted. The cops were like, hey, sorry, someone called in saying there was a gun. And we're like, what? I'm like, no way. But then whoever called in also said that, like, shots were fired and there was blood everywhere. And so, like, you know, like, whoever called that in should have to front that helicopter bill.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, dude. And I thought we were going to get booked, you know, because of, like the strong police presence.
Yeah.
Like, and we just went to Denny's.
Wow.
Yeah, went to Denny's right
How
after.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that, for one, that's a crazy prank. Like, that's kind of wild.
I get it.
Yeah. Why'd you guys do that? But 2, like, it's interesting how people's memories, like, shift just because maybe, like, they're under, like, high duress themselves. Maybe they, like, saw that and they're like, fuck. And they went in their thing and they're like, oh, I saw blood.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, looking back at it, because I think I was like 17 or 18 at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, man, so many people carry in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, that could have gone so wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Imagine.
you know, how many...
Imagine they try to save him.
That's what I'm saying. It's like especially through jiu-jitsu, we meet so many people who are just, like, waiting for something to pop off.
Like, for sure.
Like, they're, you know, they train firearms, they train hand-to-hand combat, and they're just waiting for the day.
A little bit too eager.
A little bit. Like, they're almost, like, craving it, you know?
Exactly.
Like, and I'm just happy, like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy how, like... I'm sure you have plenty of stories like in life, like how wrong things could have gone looking back at it.
How close things go.
Yeah, man. It's wild. Like it's
how wild. How terrible for that person would it have been too if he would have just popped you too.
Right.
Just the like AR from the thing, just beep.
Yeah, dude.
Just take you 2 out.
But hey, we made it.
It would have looked perfectly reasonable to do that too.
Totally. You probably would have gotten
literally
off.
tied up. You literally have a gun.
And he was like
literally
tied up. Yeah. Oh, like he was like he could not get out.
Yeah.
Like we had to like loosen it at first because like he couldn't even expand his lungs.
Wow.
Like he almost like that was like a whole ordeal. Like
what the hell?
Yeah, that's the only time a gun's ever been pulled on me. I feel like not to like jump subjects, but like it's pretty easy to avoid confrontations.
Yeah, it totally is.
Don't go out to shady bars.
Yeah.
Don't go looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Avoid dark areas. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously anything can happen to anyone, but like it's pretty easy to avoid confrontations.
Yeah, exactly. It totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably there's like an element of like if you're low enough income, if you're like impoverished enough, like your whole neighborhood is like just fucking problems all over. I think that like maybe a little bit more difficult to escape.
Sure.
But in general, if you're in a like semi-decent area, it's pretty easy. You know, even if you go to bars, even if you're drinking or something, you got to be a total douchebag to fucking really get in fights.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I think most fights come from like incompetent people who maybe there's a disagreement or something, and it's 2 people who are totally unconfident in their own skills and like they get nervous because there's a serious threat of danger because they've never been in real danger, and then all of a sudden they get like emotional and like each of them raise their own emotions, and then all of a sudden there's a fight.
Yeah.
You know, I think like just like a decent show of confidence is like, are you fucking idiot? You really want to do this?
Right.
You know, that de-escalates things actually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like I don't know about you, like the better I've gotten at jiu-jitsu, the more scared I am to get in a real fight. Because like while I think you and I would handle, like if you put 100 random men in here, I think you and I would smoke 99 of them, no problem. Yeah. Like not even struggle. But all it takes is one moment to go wrong. Yeah. You know, and it's like, so the better I get, it's like, man, you just never know. You know?
And again, too, everyone's got a puncher's chance at distance too. So, I mean, and you also too, you never know like what people's stand-up skill is like. Yeah. One experience I had at the old gym, like across the street, was that there was this one kid that was training with us, and he's like, I'm not a big guy, but he was smaller than me too. So he's like probably 150 pounds, probably 5'7", and he started with us from zero experience in grappling. And so he was just a brand new white belt. He trained with us for like 9 months. I just viewed him as like a harmless little white belt, you know? And that's just all he was. No disrespect to him, but like, as far as like a physical altercation, he's harmless.
Yeah.
I go to a kickboxing class, bro has been fucking kickboxing for 12 years.
Oh.
Yeah. We stand and start sparring and he pieces me up. I was like, what?
Man.
I thought you were a harmless little baby white belt.
Yeah, you just have no idea,
You have
man.
no idea who it is. And this is a guy that I've literally gotten into, physical combat with.
Right.
And I didn't know this about
Right,
him.
right.
How crazy.
You just don't know who's walking around like that Matt Black belt we were talking about.
Yeah.
Bro, you'd have no idea. The
Yeah.
guy probably weighs
FBI guy?
$160. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably weighs $160. His ears are totally clean.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, just a fucking monster, dude.
And he's a real sweetheart type of
Oh my
person.
God,
too.
amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
So courteous and nice.
Yeah. I think that kind of like lines up with like those who can bite don't have to bark.
Yeah.
Or like a warrior
yeah.
in a garden is better than a gardener at war, however you want to word it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I hopefully those like killers are like nice people. Like Issa's one of the nicest guys ever,
for sure.
but like, bro, fucking animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He totally is. It is funny. Like he like drives like a grandma.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Always kind of high, really chill.
Yeah, exactly. It takes like fucking 10 hours to get to California when it should take 5.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna put him down real quick. I think he's
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
ready for a nap.
Take a little pause.
Be a minute intermission here.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Can I give you a totally unwarranted story?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I had Jake, the guy I was just talking about. He was like my best
Wait,
friend.
he was the guy that was tied up? Or?
Yeah, he was the guy that was tied up. We were like best friends in high school. Like my parents for a while actually thought we were gay.
Oh, really?
Like we hung out all the time.
Yeah.
And I was the best man at his wedding.
Okay.
And he got married like a week after he graduated from the police academy. And all of his groomsmen, other than me, were guys he like went through the academy with. And anyways, like that's the last time I actually ever talked to him.
Wow.
Like at the time I had like a Latina girlfriend. And like, bro, I'm all down for a good racist joke.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like I love offensive comedy.
Yeah.
Make white jokes. I don't mean to target anyone, right? But like they were like making like Mexican jokes like in front of her. And I was like, yo, like it's not like good timing, you know? And then one of the groomsmen fought in Bellator. And at the time I was a suspect blue belt.
Yeah.
And we actually like rolled like a month prior. And like he subbed me, but like he didn't like smash me.
Yeah.
Like I put up like a hell of a fight. Like now I think I'd kill him.
Yeah.
And he was like, him and his wife were like talking mad shit to me, like, oh, you tapped, like, oh. Yeah, and it was just like, so between like the jokes and that, and then like my buddy like laughing along with it, like we kind of like faded out after the wedding. But anyways, we'll come back to that in a minute. Once Benton was born, I started going to like 5 and 6 a.m. classes just because I want to be like home in the evening, you know, like my wife and kid. And so I started going to the Infinite up in Anthem. And they have a 6 a.m. class, probably about 8 guys. And there's some like guys that are like on the edge of purple that are like really good roles. Like they compete, like I'll beat them, but I'm not like I'm not smashing them, you know? And anyways, one of the guys in there, he like 5'8", 210, yoked. And him and I like kick it off. He lives a mile away from me. We like drive out to tournaments together.
Nice.
I see him at the gym all the time. And then one day, like I get this notification from Google that's like, hey, like your storage is about to expire. Like, do you want to renew? And I'm like looking through all my old photos. Like, do I really want to pay $20 to keep these photos? And I pull up a picture from the wedding. This is 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's Joe.
Oh, that's him?
And so I hit up my buddy Joe, the guy at the Anthem gym. I'm like, hey, do you know Jake? And he's like, yeah, why? I'm like, were you at his wedding? He's like, I don't think so. And I sent him a picture of like all the groomsmen, and he was like, "Oh, guess I was." Like 8 years later, reconnected.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I thought the Matrix like glitched or something.
Wow.
Like who would have thought?
And you didn't even know that was him until you saw the old photo.
No idea. And it was what makes it even crazier is he's the only groomsman I took like a separate photo with because he's like the only guy that wasn't like a complete dick.
Oh, interesting.
You know, like
so he wasn't the Bellator guy. He was just a different.
He was a different guy
in the
yeah. He wasn't the Bellator guy. Yeah, but I was just like, what a like glitch in the Matrix.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And even he was like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's like, I don't think I was there. Meanwhile, he's a groomsman. Yeah.
How funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild story.
How interesting. It is a glitch in the Matrix. We're in a simulation. That's proof right there.
You know, like, if I had to guess, we might be.
Well, you know, like what's funny is that like if we are in a simulation, if it's like indiscernible from reality, what's the difference?
There wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, are we like in a simulation within a simulation within a simulation?
The miniverse, microverse.
Yeah, like
ultraverse.
Here's my hope. Right? Like this, I think this is wishful thinking, but this could totally be the reality. When we die, we'll wake up and we'll get unplugged. And then like whoever wakes us up, whatever society we're a part of, will be like, okay, now you know what it was like to live as a clean-cut white dude in prime America, born into a good family, have a good life. Now we're going to throw you back in the simulation, but we're going to put you in Africa and you're impoverished. And then like, I don't know, like maybe like all the memories come back together. Like this is like, we're in school right now. I don't know. I think it's wishful thinking, but who knows?
Interesting. I do kind of, I am like interested by the idea of reincarnation. I feel like it just like kind of makes sense. Yeah. I don't know, there's certain people in my life that I feel like we were like rekindled, like we'd known each other in past lives.
Yeah. There's some creepy reincarnation stories.
Yeah.
Like there was that one, I'm going to totally botch the story, so I'll keep it short. But like, it was like this like kid in Europe, and he like said, yeah, I lived on this island with my family, and like we all got murdered or something like that. Yeah. And like he was so adamant on it that where they finally found out where he lived, and like everything he described had happened like 30 years prior.
Interesting.
Like he fully explained it. Yeah, wow. Weird.
That's really interesting. Although I feel like I very much believe in reincarnation. I don't know, I very much believe, but I'm very interested in it. I think it's a real possibility. Yeah. Anytime I hear like something like that, I'm like, fucking liar. He just, read up something and then like convinced everyone around him.
Who knows?
You know what's really interesting too is when people do that, when they convince other people around them that like their reality is life. Like I feel like, you ever seen like Keep Sweet and Obey or
I don't know if I have.
Keep Sweet and Obey.
Yeah.
It's about this like Mormon cult who like basically believed in like a bunch of things, but like it was like one of them was the like 3 wives gets you your own planet in the afterlife.
Oh,
and the more wives the better. Yeah. And they like it started as like a semi-small community, and it ended up being like a couple thousand people, and they were getting a lot of pushback from the places that they were living in, and so they moved to this small town that's actually a border town in Arizona and Utah, right on the Utah side. Yeah. And so now like they had a town of a couple thousand people where they were the police officers, they were the schools, they did all this, and so they taught the women to be very obedient and stuff, and like the patriarch of the family, this guy, I forget his name, but he like when he died, he had like 79 wives. Wow. Yeah, and like the youngest of which was like 14 years old or 15 years old. Yeah. They talked about stories where like they would line up in a literally single file line to give him a kiss at night before going to sleep.
That's a long bedtime
79
routine.
Of them. Yeah. Yeah, crazy. And then they believed that he was God incarnated. Okay. And he when he got to a certain age, he would start reverse aging, and he would become younger. Sure. And like start continue and like lead the community forever. Yeah. And so of course eventually he died. Right. And everyone was like, well, that's not so. It was a total mind fuck for everyone because they didn't. The
reality just got broken.
Really didn't believe. Yeah. And I'm thinking like this is literally a schizophrenic who convinced everyone around him that his reality is truth. You know, like literally a crazy person that convinced a whole fucking couple thousand people that like, yeah, I'm God. I'm God, bro. It's so and everyone crazy. Believed it. Like, how fucking wild is that?
Oh, man, I wish I had that kind of influence.
Right.
Right. That's crazy.
How fucking crazy. Yeah. But like, it's a documentary on Netflix. You should watch it. It's pretty good.
What was it called again?
Keep Sweet and Obey.
Is that like the same thing as like the Mormon cult?
It is a Mormon cult.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
A Mormon cult.
I think I have seen that. Didn't he like go to prison or something?
So his son took over, and maybe something happened with the son. The guy died while being the fucking God that everyone thought he was.
Yeah. Are you on that note? Are you religious at all? Do you prescribe to any religion?
You know, I'm not atheist. Right? Yeah. I do think there's something going on there, but like I don't prescribe to any particular religion.
I would agree. I believe in a higher power. Yeah. Whether if it's a singular God or like a Star Wars force. Yeah. I don't know. And maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think it's like a healthy way to live. Like, hey, I'm not just living for me. Like at a bare minimum, there's at least a greater good, and I'll live my life as if there is a greater good.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like what that exactly that is like what I'm not totally convinced on. Like I don't know for sure it's Jesus. I think it's actually a useful term naming it. And because it allows you to like honor it directly, or like you think it's directly.
Yeah.
And so I think it's pretty useful actually, all the particular religions, because it also provides like guidelines and tracks for you to
morals.
And not even just that, but like a set way to honor the divine. It's like it's a laid out way. Here's just say this. We've got a bunch of little prayers. You can say this one before food, this one before you're leaving, this one about like in time of hardship or something.
Yeah.
It gives you like guidance of like how to honor the divine. So I think it is like really useful in that way. But yeah, I'm just not convinced it's any particular one. Like it could be the fucking universe. Like I think like nature is like God in a way,
sure.
But I do think like I want to like honor God in my actions, like I feel like God hates the lazy,
dude,
and rewards the hardworking.
Yeah.
I just feel like the more I put out into the universe, the more I'm given. And by putting into the universe, I'm showing God the honor of his creation or the ability of his creation. I want to be like, this is what I set man out here to be, is to do things and like fucking become things and get rewarded because of that.
I hear what you're saying. And I think that like, and again, I don't prescribe to religion either, but I think what you just said is like the definition of faith.
Yeah.
It's like, I have faith if I do right by my fellow man, if I like make my ancestors happy, make God happy, work hard, like it will come full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't care.
For sure.
Let's live it out and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Be sitting around doing nothing all day.
Absolutely. Yeah. To be honest, I feel like my job almost like reinforces this too, because like at the beginning of every year, I'm guaranteed $0.
Right.
I may have like a pipeline from deals that I've done before, but in reality, if I just stop working, eventually the checks will stop coming in, and like nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so, I'll get into these periods where, I'll close a bunch in a month and make a great month, but I'll also have periods where nothing closes, nothing's happening for a little bit.
Yeah.
All I have to do is continue to fucking do my part and trust that things will happen from it.
Yeah.
I just go, it's like fucking, I showed you my garden earlier.
Yeah.
It's like planting and planting and planting and planting and nothing grows.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go through seasons of nothing growing at all.
Yeah.
And so I got to just keep fucking planting and trust that eventually it'll grow.
Because I work in sales too. And like, I kind of think it like this. I think sales, and this is going to sound bad at first, I think it's 100% luck. But to elaborate on that, the more you strike, the more chances you have to get lucky, the luckier you get. If you're only making one cold call a week, you're not going to get very lucky.
Yeah.
Whereas you make 100 a week, you're going to get lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
So
from my perspective, I would say some of it's luck, some of it is like it's the long game in a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, are your sales like one and done? Like is that your last time with that particular people, or do you have a lot of repeat?
So
customers?
I have like clients where like we'll do multiple individual deals all throughout the year. Yeah. So my transactions, I don't think are anywhere near the size of yours. Like my biggest deals maybe like throughout the lifeline of like the cycle of a candidate working at a hospital is like maybe 80 grand. That's like the largest. Yeah. And then 80% of that money goes to the candidate anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Whereas yours, like I'm sure there's like $1 million deals plus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, within the market, like some of my competitors have like the biggest deal I've seen is $600 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
and then now with a deal that size, like I know there's not an industry norm.
Yeah. What does that guy get paid?
Yeah, is it 3% or 3.5%?
No. I'm assuming on that one the guy probably get paid 1%,
which is still, I mean,
$6 million.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
dude.
Exactly. I know that guy's a fucking beast though too. His name's Nate Nathan. He's an absolute dominant force within the commercial real estate game.
Man,
the guy's a beast. He just closed like a $300 million deal a couple weeks ago.
Man.
Yeah, and so on those ones, I'm thinking about 2%, which also would be like we've talked about it with other people. I think he's a 2% guy. Like like that's about what he'll get because. The crazy thing is like for me, a couple $1 million is a fucking great deal.
Oh my God.
Really good. Like I've got like a $9 million deal right now, and that would be the biggest one I've done if it closes.
Yeah.
So these are big deals for me.
Yeah.
For him, like he closes fucking 20, 25, $30 million deals like weekly. Like it's nothing.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I had a client talking to me that said that he had lunch with them like a couple years back or something, and said that they had a meeting in like April or May, and he said that he'd already hit his yearly goal, which was $500 million for the year. Yeah, I'm like, fuck.
And does he keep working, or does he ride off into the sunset for the year?
Oh no, dude, he's a workhorse. He works a lot. Yeah. He's probably worth a few $100 million. I would guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How much money would it take for you to go? Fuck it, I'm done.
You know, I've thought about that, and I don't think there is an amount of money that I would like completely just stop doing. I honestly don't think, back to the God point, I don't think God gives money to people who would quit.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it was Jim Rohn or something that said, he's like, oh, he's talking about someone else, or like making a quote like, if the good Lord just like gave me $1 million, I would never work another day in my life. He's like, that's probably why the good Lord sees it. He doesn't give you that $1 million. You just up and quit. You're just gonna stop going.
Yeah.
But I do think about $25 million is about what it takes to just be fucking, basically the world is like free. Like you can do anything
that's fuck
you
you
want.
money.
Yeah, that's completely fuck you money. That's like you can take private jets wherever you want. You can basically buy any reasonable house. But outside of like mega mansions, mega yachts, mega
But you
planes.
can live wherever you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you could take, even private jets are going to be 10 grand here, or 20 grand here, or something. That's nothing if you got 25 million.
Yeah.
You know, and then with investments and stuff, you could put it in a fucking high interest account and make like 4% a year.
And that's no risk either.
Yeah, zero risk at all.
Yeah.
So what would that be? Like fucking 4% on 10 million be 400 grand. So 800, so it'd be $1 million a year.
Yeah.
$1 million a year just in interest doing nothing. So, and that's, again, like you said, zero risk at all. But you could also put it into like a triple net, like long-term income producing asset that like is going to appreciate in value too.
Right.
So like I think about 25 is all it takes to do anything. But I would say if I got to there, I would still just be trying to like fucking push myself and like get to higher.
Do you think you'd still be doing real estate, or do you think you just go, you know, I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu full time, or would you do something like that?
No, I think real estate's honestly really fun for me.
Yeah.
I just want to get more away from the brokerage side of it and strictly on the principal side of it.
Gotcha.
Like right now I do like little transactions.
One moment.
That's okay. Yeah. Like I'm trying to, that's basically it. I just want to get away from brokering and more into doing my thing.
I hear you. Get out of the day-to-day struggle and whatnot.
Yeah.
Sorry, this baby's a little.
That's okay. We can take a little pause though.
Yeah.
The doggo's here.
Oh yeah, would they be all up in his face?
Not even with him, I don't think. I think they would just be more concerned that we're in here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What are you guys doing in there?
Well, how come I'm not involved?
Yeah. I told you, I think we might get another dog this weekend.
Did you have like specific one you're eyeing out, or?
Yeah, we got one. They're gonna bring him over tomorrow, I think. Actually,
Puppy or like a dog?
He's 9 months old.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like a rescue.
Yeah.
It's funny, like within the dog adopting community, rescue is like, was it a rescue? That's what everyone like asks. But well, because we bought Cleo as a puppy. Cleo was like an impulse decision. I don't know if I told you. I was just driving and someone had a sign that said dogs for sale, and I'm like,
son of a bitch, I'm in.
I just pulled over. I'm like, all right, I'll take one.
Yeah.
And I'm super glad. Cleo is like turned out so like perfect, and she's such a pretty little dog.
Yeah.
And but so like we watched my mom's dog for like 2 weeks, and they were such buddies. And besides the double the food and the double the poop, it's almost easier having 2 dogs than it is one, because they like kind of entertain themselves and they're always like hanging out. And like when Nina, it's my mom's dog, left, Cleo was so sad. Like she was like went through like a 3-day like depressive period.
No.
You know, or 2 days of like just kind of before she got back to normal of like just being in it. So we were like looking for other dogs, and this lady who like fosters dogs has 8 dogs and 3 cats at her house right now.
What a G.
Well, I know, right?
Yeah,
That's
I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so this one is one of those. They're gonna bring him over and
That's dope.
have him introduced.
I recommend 2 because I have 2.
Yeah.
And they're not rescues, but they're service dog dropouts.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And like, they totally entertain each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think it is cool because they like hang out and like they kind of like.
I don't feel bad if I'm gone for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
like, all right,
they're
you got
hanging
each
out
other.
with each other. Yeah.
Although, like, so I got 2 labs. You met them.
Yeah.
Riggs is the white one. He's like 8 now, and he's like lazy as fuck. Like he doesn't want to do a thing. He like walks around all slow. Whereas my 4-year-old one, Boone, the black lab, he's like hyper as fuck. And like Boom will like harass the shit out of Riggs to play all the time.
Yeah.
And we, Hannah and I started like outsourcing everything once we had Benton. Like we even have someone doing our laundry.
Oh, really?
Someone cleaning for us, doing our laundry for us. Like, because we want all of our free time to go to like work and our kid, right?
Yeah.
And so we have groomers that like come to the house, and they have like a big van that they like groom the dogs in, you know?
Oh, wow.
And the first time they came over, I brought Boone, the crazy one, out first. And Riggs like thought we like gave him away and started like celebrating.
No,
he started like wagging his tail, got like the zoomies. He's like, finally, it's just me. So I was like, oh shit,
that's kind of hilarious.
And then like when Boone came back in, he was like,
you again.
But they get along. Yeah,
wow, that is funny. I think the cat gets pretty happy when Cleo takes off.
Yeah,
It's the same. That's kind of the cat and the dog's dynamic. Is that the cat just wants to hang out, and then like Cleo is always fucking with it, trying to get it going.
Typical dog.
Yeah. So maybe even having the two is better for the cat too.
Yeah. Back on this reincarnation thing.
Yeah.
So like, and this is kind of related. Like, do you know how like kids like say like creepy shit sometimes? You hear stories like, do you have anything like that? Like, were you a creepy kid, or do you know anyone?
No, I do. So, like, when I went to Santa Barbara this last time, this girl who had like an abortion, she was talking to the shaman's daughter, and she's like, "Are you a mom?" And she's like, "No," and she's like, "You had a kid."
Whoa.
Yeah, and that freaked her out.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so that was interesting. So if I thought about it more, I could think of some other events as well.
My sister and I were creepy kids.
You were creepy kids?
I only had one incident.
Like creepy looking, right?
Yeah, that and no, no, like so, like I grew up until the age of 10. I was in like a suburb of Chicago, and my dad worked in Chicago, and he said when I was like 2 years old, and keep in mind I was 2, I'd never been to Chicago. My dad said I would like perfectly describe the city and like locations and street names. I have no memory of this.
Interesting.
But supposedly I would tell him all about Chicago, even though I'd never been.
Oh, wow.
And then, but my sister was way fucking creepier.
Really?
I remember this clear as day, dude. We like woke up. It's like a weekend day. And my sister like comes out of her room and super fucking creepy. She points at a tree in the backyard and says, "That tree's going to burn." And then walks away.
Whoa.
That night, lightning hit the tree and the tree burned down.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that. And then the other thing I remember from her being a creepy kid, this would have been started around July of 2001. And we all know what happened in September, right?
Yeah.
Starting around July up until September 11th, she's like every single morning, she would frantically freak out. Like, "Brent, we got to run away and go warn the president. Brent, something's going to happen. Whoa. Brent, we got to go run away." And like, she was so adamant about it. And I was like, "I'm not running away." I'm like, "How are you going to get to him? What are you going to say?" And she's like, "Something bad's going to happen. We got to warn him." And sure enough.
Wow. Little did she know he was in on it.
Right. Yeah. Like, he would have been like, giving away my secrets. Yeah. So yeah, we were supposedly, well, my sister for sure. And supposedly I was too.
That's crazy. How weird.
Yeah.
I do feel like kids are more in tune with those type of things more than adults are.
Yeah, I would think so. Like this is kind of like a weird, like super high thought, but it's like, if he could talk, I kind of want to be like, "What were you doing 5 months ago?
Yeah, exactly.
What were you doing a year ago?"
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like, do you, like, is there anything there? Like, you know, it is weird.
Because he has like experience. You think he like remembers yesterday?
I don't know, man. Because like, what's your youngest memory?
You know, I want to say my first memory was like waking up at a McDonald's when I was like, I want to say like 2 or 3 years old. I just remember waking up, and I remember actually this weird feeling of being like, I'm back.
Yeah, interesting. What a wild thought.
Yeah.
Like I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wonder that because like I grew up in like a pretty like dogmatic Christian household, and like I think I always like believed out of there's a term for it, not Occam's razor. It's basically you believe in God because of the fear of going to hell. And like the only reason I believed as a kid was for that fear, if you will.
Yeah.
And but like I always wondered like for a while in my younger 20s, I was like a really staunch atheist, like super staunch.
Yeah. One other way.
Well, because I was just so pissed off from my childhood having this shoved down my throat when I didn't believe it at all, you know? And, but anyways, like I always wondered like, okay, if after we die, everything goes black, it's like, well, as far as I know, that's all it was before I was here. Is that really the worst thing?
Yeah.
You know, like, so, but who knows, man?
Yeah. Right. No one knows for sure.
Yeah. And that's the biggest, that's actually that statement, "no one knows for sure," is what talked me out of it. I was listening
out of
like
religion?
Being like a dogmatic, Christian, like I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, as any good male would, and he had Jeremy Stevens on, MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And this is like I don't know, 2013.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, this is before Connor was even a thing, right? Yeah. And like they're talking about, you know, Jeremy Stevens like fight camp and typical MMA stuff. And there's like 10 minutes left to go on the podcast. I'll never forget this moment because it changed my worldview forever. And Jeremy Stevens just out of nowhere is like, Joe, do you believe in God? And Joe's like, well, he's like, there's a lot of weird coincidences in the universe. And like the universe is so vast, it's strange not to think there's a God. But then he went on to say, but if anyone tells you that they know there's a God and what his will is, they're wrong. You could believe, but no one knows. And like light bulb went off in my head. I was like, oh my God, like you could believe, but no one knows. And if anyone tells you that they know, no one knows.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And that what took me down this like whole path.
What an interesting paradigm shift. Because but before then you maybe hadn't even considered that no one knows. You thought like people knew. Like,
right. I didn't, because like out of like fear of going to hell, I didn't even want to consider it.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, I was like, no, I can't, that's blasphemy.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. That's one thing I really don't like about religion is like the punishing aspect of it too. You know, is that like, you know, one thing on like the whole religious topic that I think is really interesting is there's this video where God damn it, his name's like slipping my mind right now. Terrence McKenna.
Mushroom guy.
There's this video of Terrence McKenna describing the Hermetis Corpus, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And like talking about Hermeticism, which was like a really popular religion, I want to say in like the 15 or 1600s.
Okay.
And like it was one of the leading ones. You know, like it was like a significant amount of the people really thought about it. Yeah. And I guess like a quick tangent on that is that like they thought that the religious texts came from like BC or around that time. Yeah. And then they found out that it was only a couple hundred years old, and it was a total paradigm shift for them. And because there's this like romanticism of old, they thought that like because it's so new, it's not legit. But in contrast to like the Christian, not less Christian, but like definitely the Catholic view of God, where like you're an undeserving sinner that is forgiven, but not because you deserve it, because he's a benevolent, guy that's really going to help you out, you know? Yeah. And you're just this kind of wormy being that's held on by a really like forgiving person, even though, and is going to overlook your wormy nature.
Right.
But in contrast to that, the Hermeticism really believed that, basically that like God had created the universe to about 90%. And he referred to man as his brother. And his brother he kind of left the other 10% up to the humans, you know, and like up to his brother, who are the co-creators in this reality.
There's a spark of divinity within us.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, just kind of like really we're in tune with that, like part of us that sort of like sings things into reality, you know, like believing things and then making it happen. Yeah. You know, and we were like sort of co-creators in this way. And it's a super interesting philosophy. I'll send you the video on it. It's like, it fucking hypes me up actually, just like listening to it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. No, because on that note, like here's like the biggest thing I struggled with when I was a Christian, right? Like it was like, okay, so this God is all loving and all knowing, right? That's what the Bible would have you think. And but it's like, okay, if that's true, so you mean to tell me God would create someone knowing how their life's going to unfold? Because per the Christian religion, anyone who wouldn't believe would hypothetically go to hell, right? Maybe there's like some subsects that would disagree with that, but I think that's the overwhelming theme. So it's like, you mean to tell me that God would create someone knowing that they would live their life in a certain way that would cause them to go to hell, and he still created them? Yeah. It's like one of two things, both things cannot be true. He's either not all knowing or he's not all loving. Yeah. Something's broken there. Because I really didn't like that. Like I remember when I was like 11, the whole like people being like wormy or however you want to word it. I remember like being 11, being in Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher asked like, who killed Jesus? We're like, oh, the Romans, oh, the Jews. And then she's like, no, you did. I was like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, like get the fuck out of here with
like,
that.
I didn't do shit.
Yeah, I didn't do shit. Fuck out of here, dude. Yeah. And so, I don't know, that was such like a light bulb moment for me when it was like, no one knows. Yeah. And you know, it's like, I think that's like, honestly, one of the best answers to a lot of things in life.
Yeah, is that no one knows
I don't know.
Sure.
No one knows for sure. It goes like the whole idea of like, what's the saying? Like, believe nothing what you hear and half of what you see.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
bro, who knows?
Yeah. You know, I had a similar experience when I was like maybe 8 or 10 years old. My neighbor their family was very religious, and we went to this thing called Awana on like Wednesday nights, and it was cool because we'd play like games and stuff too, and there'd be like a little religion there as well, but like we'd do like fucking games, and it was fun to go.
Yeah.
And one time he told us the prayer that's like, I don't know, it's like I don't know what it is, but it's a very common one in like Catholics and Christians, where you just basically say that like I take Jesus as my savior, and you know, something like this. And he basically said it was like, here's the prayer, you got to say it, and he's like, I don't want to scare you guys, but if you don't, you're gonna go to hell. And I was like, what the fuck?
An all-loving God going to do that?
And honestly, my thought was like, what about people who never heard of it? Because I'd never heard of it before. Yeah. I'm like, what if I just hadn't heard of it? I'm like, what about this baby?
Right.
You know, like because he hasn't said it yet, he's going to go to hell?
That under their rule set.
What happens there? Exactly. Yeah. You know, so those like sort of like contradictions are things that just didn't make sense to me. Because also like, what about, and I'll talk about this, like I've got friends now that are like still religious, but are like down to debate about like what it is.
I appreciate that.
Like about like, what about these people who have like dedicated themselves to Buddhism and like
still live moral lives,
still live great lives, like objectively, besides the dedicating your life to the Jesus, like they live really great lives. They do a lot of good for the world. They feed the hungry. They like literally do probably better than you and I. Like that person goes to hell, and like per the rules, they go to hell.
I don't want to believe in a God like that.
That doesn't make sense.
If that is the real God,
it
sounds like all the cool people are headed to hell anyways. Like, fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, and I think like what's interesting too is that like all these different religions, all of them are praying to the same guy. You know, they're calling it different, but like like they're praying to the same thought. You know.
Yeah.
So. It's hard to say that like one of them's going to be right. Although I got to say the particulars of each religion are kind of crazy too. Because like I was funny. I was actually just looking into like Islam recently.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I've heard crazy shit about Muhammad.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because you're not even allowed to like draw him. Like it's very like,
we'll get killed.
Mo is like he's the fucking man.
We'll literally get killed if we draw him right now.
Yeah. Like I think Family Guy did, and like
I didn't mean to cut you off. Like there was like a newspaper that drew it out in Europe, and literally they all got killed.
Really?
Yeah. It's a real story. I think it happened like 15 years ago.
See, that's crazy. Yeah. And do you know that guy had like bunch of wives, like bunch of wives, and the youngest of which was like 9 years old. And while he was like 53.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to me. I'm like, was there ever a period in humanity where like a 53-year-old marrying a 9-year-old was cool?
I guess if it was accepted back then.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like, is it like in the 100s was 50-year-olds marrying 9-year-olds cool?
I mean, I know like 14, 15 was somewhat common.
Yeah,
I
know that.
I mean, 9's a fucking child.
I know. Yeah, that's
like there's
crazy.
No exceptions there.
That's what I think too. Because I know like long enough ago, like childbearing became like wives. You know, like that's about like when you as young as maybe like 14 or something.
Yeah,
is like could be culturally normal. But even then, were there 50-year-olds? Like one thing that's interesting to me is that like our culture, and I think like rightfully so, it's almost like a like antibodies going after an infection. Our culture is so fervently against pedophiles.
Yeah, I love it.
Like
and that's like worldwide too.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, it's like a commonality just with like people are like you see these videos of these pedophiles getting like trapped and caught now, and just getting beat the shit beat out of it. Everyone's like, fuck yeah, that's
no one's mad at it.
No one's mad.
Like I've watched like dozens of hours of prison documentaries. It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you fuck with a kid, like you would be praying for death.
Yeah, even thieves, murderers, like objectively bad people all hate pedophiles.
I love it.
You know, that's how great. And so I'm thinking like at least in my whole lifetime, and it seems to be in recent history, this hasn't been something that we've just developed.
Right.
It seems to be something that like culturally this has always been a thing.
Yeah.
So like at what point would like fucking a 50-year-old marrying a 9-year-old be cool?
I don't know. In my worldview, I'm sure yours too. Never.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But, it's wild. You know, one thing I shouldn't say appreciate, and this does have a downside to it, but one thing I respect about the Muslim nation, the Muslim religion is like you and I can roast Jesus, draw the most obscene pictures of him. No one's going to do shit.
Yeah.
Versus you do that with Muhammad.
Yeah.
Like
they come at you.
You're and like, part of me is like, if I was God, like, and let's just say I had a problem with someone drawing offensive pictures of me, like, I would inspire my people to maybe do something about it. And so it's
people
like
disrespecting you.
Yeah. And so it's almost like, okay, if there is a God, this one sure likes to speak up where this one doesn't. You know, I'm not saying I'm a Muslim, but like that's kind of like, oh, these people actually stand on business.
Interesting.
Because how many, you know,
it's another level of dedication that like Christians and Catholics don't have.
They don't have it at all.
Yeah.
Dude. Like
they like watch the Jesus and Family Guy and they're like, haha, he's smoking weed.
Right. I mean, like how many people like, you know, go to like Old Town and get blackout drunk and go to church the next day?
Yeah.
You don't see that in the Muslim community.
No,
I mean, I'm sure, I mean, granted, I've never been to a Muslim church. Maybe you do, but from what I see,
it doesn't appear like
they're all like very devout.
They're definitely a dedicated culture,
which I respect
sure.
it. Like, like I think one of the kookiest religions. I don't give a fuck. I'll say this on camera. I think one of the kookiest religions is Mormonism.
Mormonism,
yeah. But the one thing I respect about it is, at least the Mormons I've met, they're devout.
Yeah,
I respect it.
Yeah,
they at least live that life. They're not drinking caffeine. They're not drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, like they have sex before marriage, and it's like, hey, at least you're walking the walk.
Yeah,
you got to respect
for sure.
it.
Yeah, like they're dedicated to the religion.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy on TikTok that goes to BYU and asks like, people? It's like, all right, would you rather
like unalive a puppy or drink alcohol?
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, because of my morals, I'd have to kill the puppy.
they all answer like that. And it's like, hey, at least they're keeping it real.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're strict to the fucking guidelines.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I think that's like where the religions go off the rails, though, is when like it almost loses sight of the goodness of it. Like you got to think of things like objectively too. It's like, all right, I'm killing fucking, and so, like he'll do like, would you rather watch a porn or kill a puppy? You know, he'll do like, would you rather drink coffee or kill a puppy? You know, and so like, and they all choose kill a puppy. Which is crazy.
Wild.
They would say like, they also say like go to war with another country or fucking drink a cup of coffee. And they say like, because of my morals, I got to go to war.
That's so crazy.
You know, like, which is, it seems crazy to me. So like, that's where I think religions fucking become like, they like lose sight of the objective of the religion. The objective is like, and I think this is maybe like why our religions were originally formulated. Was like, you know, we're fucking super old, old, you know, like you said, 50,000 years or something is minimum, you know, like minimum, maybe like, you know, multi-millions of years of like some, like something of us, you know, like that we're like trying to make it. And so for the vast majority of this, we were fucking savages.
Oh my God.
You know, we probably went around in cliques of like maybe 100 people or so. And then we killed the people that were like, that would come in. And like, even in way more recent than that too, just like a couple hundred years ago in like old Western shit, if someone didn't like you, you just pull out a gun and pop him in his face and then say, hey, he was talking shit. And everyone's like, well, he shouldn't have been talking shit. He shouldn't have been talking. And then you could also just go on murder sprees and then just change your name and move to the next place. Like we were, and that's like really light compared to like the fucking Viking age.
Oh
and
my
like,
God.
You know, like the Genghis Khan and like these type of things. We were savages for most of our existence. And so I think religions formulated as a way to be like, hey, there's like objective reality. I think you should love your neighbor. You should not kill, not steal, not because whatever, or maybe like in this instance, because maybe the fucking, or else you're going to hell was like enough motivation for these people. We're like, that's why you shouldn't. Yeah. You know? But like now we've come full circle where it's like, you shouldn't do it because you're not going to hell. You should do it because that's what's good. Right. That's like, it makes you feel better as a person. It makes you not be a shitty person. It's just better to not fucking steal. It's better to not hurt people. It's better to just be a good person. It's better. Not because it's fucking, you know, this super old book tells you so. Like, I would like to think, God or not God, like, you know, like if people say like, oh, if there's no God, what's stopping you from raping and murdering people? It's like, yo, I don't need a God to tell me that. Yeah, exactly. You know, but maybe the idea of God's so ingrained in our culture that if it wasn't for the idea of God, maybe we wouldn't have that mindset. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But you know, like I said, back to like the 50,000 year example, like you mean to tell me that for minimum 50,000 years, and that's being very conservative. It very well could be 250. People are killing each other. People are dying from tooth infections. Like, you know, you get a cut, get staph, they die. And, you know, women dying during childbirth. Mm-hmm. And for 50,000 years, heaven just whatever. Yeah. And then one day in remote Middle East,
Out comes Jesus.
Yeah.
And like, but you sat up there with folded arms for 50,000 years and watch all this unfold.
And they're believing it's only 6,000, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, only 5,000 years.
Right. Only 5,000 years of carnage. And it's like, I don't mean to like shit on Christianity. I actually think there's like a lot of beautiful things out of it. There's a lot of good lessons. But it's like, let's be real. What's more likely? A woman gave birth as a virgin or a woman lied?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's more likely?
There are a lot of funny jokes with that. We're like, where'd you get this cake, Joseph? He's like, God helped me make it. You see how crazy that sounds, Mary?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
I think because it's still like whether it's like Christianity or any of the religions, or it's just a God that's like undescribed, like unlike outside of the religion, but a God like because I think a God could still be all loving. And like, how does evil happen in the world with this happening? I think it's almost just the like yin and yang of life. Like there has to be, to have like so much good, there has to be an equal and opposite evil.
Otherwise there wouldn't be good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think like some of the like biblical texts like are really informative in the way that like they say like on earth as it is in heaven, which means like, you know, you can have like this beautiful, amazingly like heavenly experience on earth, which also means you can live in hell on earth. Yeah. You know, and I think like the good and evil of that is interconnected. And while you can have this amazing, beautiful experience in, you know, in America, you can also be in the cartel and have your fucking beheaded and stuff with drugs and, you know, used as a fucking a baggie for drugs to get across the border. You know? Like I think there's like true evil. And also too, it's like there's so much worse than just dying quickly. Like if you've seen even some of the stuff like do you ever see like some of the shit that we did with Abu Ghraib in like Afghanistan or
I don't know if
one of those Middle Eastern countries? Look up it's a TED Talk called The Psychology of Evil, and he's all talking about like his question was like, how did Nazi Germany happen?
Sure.
Or was like one of his questions like how do people get so evil?
Yeah.
And like it goes through a bunch of examples, but like there's this one experiment that happened. It's been a while since I've gone over it, so maybe I'll fuck it up. But there's this one experiment that happened right after Nazi Germany, and I think it's called like the Milton experiences, something like that. Okay. Was the scientist who did it, and that was his question was like, how did Nazi Germany happen?
Is this the electric thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
And so like just basically it was like, one person would be the questioner, one person would be in an electric chair. Yeah. And the supposed goal of the experiment was, does like electric shock or negative reinforcement help with learning? And
that's what the person shocking thinks what the test is about.
Yeah, you sign up thinking that's what this is about. And they pay you like the equivalent of like $20 today. So it wasn't like a ton of money. They weren't just like being coerced by money. And they would go in and they would say like, okay, questioner in this room, here's the electric chair. Here are you two, both participants who just, you know, got the ad. Let's flip this coin and see who's who. Yeah. So they flip the coin. They're like, okay, you and the questioner, you over here in the chair, lock the person in the chair, and then put bring the person to the other room. And what the person in the other room didn't know is that they were always going to be the person in the other room.
Right.
They were never going to be the person in the chair. But they thought there was an equal chance that they were in the chair. Yeah. And they go over there and they ask him a question. And for any wrong question, you give him a little shock. Yeah. And this is like what he talks about of like how evil happens. It starts with just a little shock. Yeah. And so there's like 15 levels to this fucking thing. And they wrong question, just a little buzz, nothing happens. Just like, oh, that was uncomfortable. They hear him on like a voice thing, like a speaker on the other side. Yeah. And then it gets more and more intense. And then all of a sudden they're like screaming and saying like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. I'm fucking done with this. Like, let me out of here. Yeah. And there will be a guy in a lab coat next to the person asking questions, and he'll just say, keep asking questions. Yeah. Keep asking questions. He'll just keep encouraging. Nothing like coercive, like, you better fucking, but just like, keep going, keep going. Yeah. And they're like, I'm like, the test must continue. They just keep telling them to do it. And so they keep doing it. And every wrong question, the fucking electricity goes up and up. And now it gets to the point where they're no longer just screaming in pain. They're silence on the other side. And they say, take silence as a wrong answer. And so it's like from level like 1 to 15, and then it goes like X, double X, triple X. And what they found out was 2/3 of the participants took the person to triple X. Like just the full go.
I remember being over half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is scary.
And they died at like 11. They just stopped answering at like 11.
That's crazy.
You know?
And more than half.
More than half did this. All because of someone saying, hey, continue.
In a lab coat.
An authority figure telling you continue. And it actually ended up being like one of the most fucked up experiments that you couldn't do today.
Right.
Because even though at the end they say like, hey, that wasn't actually the test. The test was to see how long you would go.
Right.
They go home thinking, I would have just killed someone.
Dude, that'd be scary to learn that about yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that'd be scary if even like only 30% took it that far.
Yeah, but 2/3 of people went there.
Terrifying.
If 20%, like 10% people like,
That'd
hey,
be
they'll kill
too.
someone if someone tells you to.
Right.
Yeah, because that was, I think, like the whole Nuremberg trials was like all these higher up Nazis were saying like, hey, I was just doing what I was told to do.
Right.
And that became not an excusable excuse.
Yeah. I don't mean to jump subjects, but
No.
Jordan Peterson, he like considers the Nuremberg trials like the most like in like our recent history, like the most significant thing. Because basically like what it dialed down to is like there's something special about humans and the fact that like regardless of what culture you're from, regardless what you were told to do, regardless of the circumstances, like you violated humanity. And like it really put like human ethics to like a whole new level.
Because even though these people were like confused or like tricked or something, it's like too fucking bad.
You took it way too far. You have to know deep down like there's something divine about us, and you can't just put people on train carts and starve them to death.
How crazy!
You know?
It's so crazy how recent that was.
Very
about
recent.
how people were savages like thousands of years ago. This was like 70 years ago.
Yeah, just
80 years
prison
ago.
camps of millions of people dying.
How crazy! I'd really love to go to one of those and see.
I hear like from people who have gone, whether it's like Auschwitz, and even I've heard this about Gettysburg, where like if you go there, like you just like feel something in the air. Like there's like a sense of dread.
Just thousands or millions of people have died there.
Yeah. Have you read Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning?
I haven't. I've heard really great things about it. Is it good?
It's very good.
I've heard it's fucking insanely good.
Yeah, because he's a neuroscientist, and he was like a full blown doctor.
Yeah.
Before he went, and he talks about his experience. And
so wait, he was in the.
Oh
camp.
yeah, he was Jewish.
Okay,
wrong place, wrong time. Got sent, and basically, like I don't know what anyone could derive their own meaning from the book, but basically, what he alluded to in the book was like those who like truly thought that they could live, survive, and had something to live for, those are the ones who made it. If someone went in there and their whole family was already killed,
they gave up.
Yeah, and which I wasn't there. I'm not trying to act like, oh, well, they weren't strong enough. That's not at all what I'm saying. But basically, like those who survived, it was mostly like they just had like a unshaking belief that like, it would be okay.
They just locked in.
It's locked in. Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah.
To put it in 2025 terms, they locked in.
No, but to your point, I mean, yeah, dude, that wasn't even 100 years ago.
How crazy.
And like Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Gulag Archipelago.
Whoa, what a last name.
I think I probably totally botched the last name. A Russian guy. He was sent to like the Russian like gulags, like the like the forced labor camps.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't think that ended till like 1991.
Wow.
And like the conservative estimates have like 50 million people dying.
Wow, yeah.
And that was not long ago, man.
Wow.
I mean, and even now in North Korea.
I was just gonna say North Korea. That's happening today.
Like your father can commit a crime and you'll go to prison.
Yeah.
Like if your father flees the country, the whole family's going to that prison.
Like for up to like 8 generations is,
the
worst punishment. So it could be something your great-great-grandpa did and you're in
nuts.
jail.
Yeah.
Exactly. How fucking crazy.
Yeah. So to your point.
It is crazy that we allow that to happen in like a civilized society that like there's escapees that talk about their story and how horrible and evil it is.
Oh yeah.
And also too, they actually use like Christianity and they just replaced Jesus with Kim Jong-un.
Really?
Yeah. So they learn like the Bible and like one of the things that like there'll be like Christian religious South Korean things that like help like escapees as an act of service to them. And the one thing is that they have to read the Bible and learn the Bible, and all of them can do it very easily because they
just replace the names.
Yeah, they know it. They just think it's Kim Jong Un.
That's wild.
So because over there they think that like he knows your thoughts.
Right.
He can hear what you're thinking, and if you speak out against him or if you even think against him.
Right.
It's just insane.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, but like to your point, like that's happening now.
Yeah.
And I know it made like big news like 5 years ago. It seems like the Chinese government's trying to keep it hush hush, but a lot of information has come out. Was it the Uyghur Muslims? It's like UGHYRYER. It's like a certain type of Muslim group, and like they're being rounded up in the camps in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In China?
In China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
they're putting them in like concentration type camps?
Essentially, like re-education camps, I think they call it.
Huh.
Yeah, but I think the government's keeping it kind of hush hush.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. You never know what's the legit out of there.
Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
Which is crazy that we do so much business with them too.
So much. Maybe not anymore with 125% tariff.
Maybe not, but like that is crazy. I mean, Apple's going to have to fucking get to it over here.
Yeah.
They said that they're going to invest $500 billion in the United States
That's
now.
nuts. But hey, maybe that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not an expert on economics whatsoever, but it seems like with the tariffs, it's going to be a short-term major loss, but like potential long-term major gain.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I'm also not an economics expert. I'm trying to stay as educated as I can about it and, talk to a bunch of people. Some people are very concerned that like it could, really fuck up the world economy. Yeah. And like if we stop being like the default currency for the world, this could be a huge problem. But it seems to be in theory that it makes a lot of sense that like, we need to just be like onshore all this production. And like the Apple example is that like that one building that they had where they were manufacturing fucking iPhones over there, they had such a high suicide rate of people jumping out the building that they put a net around the bottom of it.
That's so crazy.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
And we just like all allow it because like we like iPhones.
We like our convenience.
Yeah, isn't that great? I'll keep the same iPhone. Or honestly, like if it costs $1,000 now, what's it gonna cost? $3,000 or something?
Yeah,
I'll just like upgrade less. I don't know.
People still get it.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is, if it has to be non-child labor,
right?
The market's going to figure it out. Maybe it doesn't have to be iPhone. Maybe it has to be something else or something.
Or maybe instead of the Apple CEO making $80 million, he comes down to 20. You know,
exactly. Yeah. It's also a $1 trillion company. Maybe they just eat some of that. Maybe they just have less profit. Maybe they're not the highest valuation company in the world.
Right.
Maybe those are the solutions.
Yeah.
And then people are like, what about the shareholders?
Yeah. Oh, I totally hear you on that. I hope it all works out. It definitely seems scary for now, looking at the 401k balance and all the stocks, but it always bounces back.
Yeah, exactly.
Long term, it always goes up.
It went way down and then it's like already rebounded, just like by him saying that he's extending the tariffs.
Yeah, and if anything, stocks are just on sale right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, also too, like, on the long term, everything has these periods of great reductions.
Yeah.
There's always a period where assets lose significant value. So maybe this is like pushing us into the recession, or maybe we're in a recession right now. And, this is like the reality is the markets are cyclical. It does go up and down. So
yeah. I trust it'll all be okay.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All you can do, just kind of going back to like what we were talking about earlier, all you can do is fucking plant seeds.
Yeah. Live your best life.
Exactly. You can't just worry too much about it. You try to stay as informed as you can and like, talk to people and stuff, but don't get too caught up in the shit you can't control.
Yeah, 100%. Like we're individuals that make up society. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm not saying we are society, but like what we put out into the world affects society. Like one way I like to think of it is, I would like to think we're 4 people away from knowing everyone on the planet. So like, let's give an example. Let's go Trump. Mm-hmm. How do I know Trump on a personal level? Well, I have a buddy whose friends, like him and, do you know who Justin Waller is? He's like some like finance guru guy or whatever. But anyways, these two guys are boys. My buddy owns like a really successful company. Justin Waller is friends with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate knows Dana White. Dana White knows Trump. Okay, 4 people away from Trump.
Yeah.
And I would like to think everyone, to a degree, is potentially only 4 people away from anyone on the planet. Like we are so like deeply connected. And so it really comes down to the personal integrity of the individual to be the best person that they could be.
Yeah.
And then just pray, have faith that life will be okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Totally random. Hence why I hit you up to come here.
Yeah.
When we were in Vegas
for
my bachelor party.
Yeah.
I remember I dropped a bomb at dinner. I'm telling you about this house I grew up in.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to dive in?
Absolutely.
Do you want the long story?
I would love the long story, honestly.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to bring that up earlier when we were talking about some crazy shit, but I forgot to.
Yeah. So I figured why not? So let me start off with some disclaimers.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me if I believe in ghosts, I would say no. But if you asked me to play with a Ouija board, I'd say fuck no. It's kind of like, so it's like I'm not 100% dialed in on my beliefs, if you will. So like growing up, my sister got like creeped out really easily. You know, I mentioned the whole tree story and the 9/11 thing, but like she would always like claim to like see and hear things, but I always thought she was just like paranoid. And I was like, whatever. So when I was 12, we moved into this house in Anthem, and she like her spikes of seeing and hearing things like went through the roof. Like it was every single week she was freaking out about something. Like, oh, I heard this voice, or oh, I saw this shadow. And I'm like, whatever, she's just paranoid. The only weird thing I experienced at the beginning was like, you know how like houses will make like settling noises? There'll be like a knock, or like you'll hear like I think you know what I mean, like a settling noise. I would hear like a settling noise, and it would kind of like spook me out, seeing my sister spooked. And at the time I was a Christian. And so I figured, okay, if this is something evil, if I were to say like Jesus Christ is Lord aloud, it would potentially make this thing go away.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that, and like it would go like 2 knocks. And then I would say it again, it would go. Whoa. And it would go up to like 8 or 9 knocks.
Whoa.
That's the only weird thing I would experience. And it wasn't like knocks, it was like settling noises, but it was like on cue.
Like pop, pop.
When I would say it, it would make settling noises.
Whoa.
And so
like in like a short period, you just say it and then
right after it would happen. And so I was like, okay, it could be a coincidence. I'm going to believe it's a coincidence.
Real quick, about your sister, like how is she now? Is she still like
she doesn't experience anything now. And I'll dive into why I think that is.
Okay.
It goes along with the story. So and I got to give another like backstory on this.
I was just gonna say, because like if she's like a schizophrenic now in a hospital or something, like
right? Well, maybe that's it. Yeah, and I have a great grandfather who was like legit schizophrenic. So who knows? Maybe you know. And anyways, like I don't want to like air out my like family dirty laundry. I had a great childhood. I was not abused as a child.
Yeah,
my mother did not have a good childhood, and while I wasn't abused, there were signs in my childhood that she was like she would like, you know, like maybe like lash out at things, get more upset about things than she should, start fights with my dad for no reason, you know. So there was always kind of like a negative vibe. I shouldn't say always, a more negative vibe than what I would consider to be a healthy household. Let's just put it like that, right? So the first crazy thing that ever happened to me, and there's a lie in the story, but I'll tell you from my perspective, then I'll fall back on that lie. I'm standing in my loft upstairs, and in the loft there's like a bathroom, and the bathroom is one of those bathrooms where like you walk in the first room, there's 2 sinks, and then like the next room has like the toilet and the shower. Yeah. And it's like the sun's going down, so it's kind of dark. I don't have the lights on, but like it's totally time to turn the lights on. And I look inside the bathroom, and there's this standing shadow figure staring at the towel rack like this. And I'm like looking like, what the hell is that? And then it turns its whole torso and looks at me. Well, I wake up. I was just dreaming. So that's the lie, right? Yeah. And so I'm thinking, oh, wow, scary dream. A second or two after waking out, it's 2 a.m., by the way, on my bedroom door, bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I answer the door, and I'm totally thinking like, oh, shit, it's a shadow or something, or I'm freaking out, but I'm not going to not answer it. Let's see what's there. And I answer it, it's my sister. And she's freaking the fuck out again. But this time I'm like, oh, I like, if I experienced something, what'd you just experience? And she said, Brent, I just went to go use the bathroom. Keep in mind the same bathroom in the loft. And she's like, when I was walking in there was a shadow staring at the towel rack.
Whoa.
So like what I was dreaming, she actually experienced.
Yeah.
And like, I got chills right now. Yeah. And at that moment it hit me like, oh shit, maybe she's not just paranoid.
Yeah.
Like maybe she like is experiencing shit. And months and months go by. The knocking thing would still happen like pretty much every night. For like my whole time I was in high school, I had a TV in my room. I'm not even joking. This doesn't sound funny, and it is kind of funny. I would go to bed with like Christmas movies on, just to have like a good vibe.
A good vibe in the
room. Because like out of all the stories I'm going to tell, like all the events that happen, and this doesn't make for a creepy story, but it was the creepiest thing. Yeah. You had this overwhelming sense that there was like a presence there. Like you were being watched the whole time in this house. And like months would go by and nothing would happen. And then shit would act up for like a couple weeks. So 1 second, I'm going to grab a little guy.
No worries.
So I'm telling ghost stories to get freaked out. And so, so my sister, you know, she's claiming things are happening on the reg. And all of a sudden my dad starts getting involved. He's like, hey, I don't want to freak you out, but he's like, I don't know if you're experiencing anything, but he's like, I'll walk up the stairs when no one's home and I'll hear full-blown conversations in the loft.
Whoa.
He's like, I'll go up there and I'm like, what are you hearing? Like, what are they saying? And he's, you know, keep in mind, this is Arizona. Civil War didn't take place here, but he's like, it's almost like it's like Civil War generals talking about plans or something. They're talking like they're from like 100 years ago or something. And he's like, as soon as I go up there, it cuts out.
Whoa.
And it gets to the point where my sister, dad, and I keep just having like weird things happen. And like, so finally it comes up during like family dinner. And anytime it gets brought up, my mom is like, no, absolutely not. When you die, when you die, you either go to heaven or hell. God protects this house. Like, no, that's not a thing. Like, she didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And which kind of made me think, like, what are you experiencing then? Yeah. You know, like, and so, but
why are you holding out?
Yeah. And I remember like another creepy thing that happened. It's just my mom and I home alone. It's like middle of July, 2 p.m. Sun's out blazing, broad fucking daylight. My mom and I are at home alone. And we're chilling downstairs, and you just hear blatant footsteps upstairs. Keep in mind, my mom does not want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. She like teared up and like looked at me, and she's like, "Do you want to go to the grocery store?" Like, she didn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But she like was like, "Oh yeah, something's going on." You know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So nothing too crazy.
Have you ever talked about your parents about this as an adult?
My dad, yeah. My mom, no.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so. Anyways, I turn 18, 19, move out, go to ASU for a little bit. And this is going to sound really fucking stupid because it is. When I went away for college, my parents put the house up on the market for rent and they moved to Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years later, the house goes up for rent. They need a renter. They're like, Brent, we'll just charge you for the mortgage if we don't move back in. And it sounds stupid as shit because I took it. You might be thinking, Brent, this house is haunted. What are you doing? But I always thought, you know what?
There's a chance it could be all in my head or something.
A chance it could be in my head. And then I thought maybe there's just something like following my mom.
Okay, interesting.
You know,
yeah.
like maybe there was just like a negative vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll move back in. So I move in. I had 3 buddies as roommates. It's like a 3,200 square foot house, 4 bed, 3 bath, nice house. I fill up all the rooms. And not even a week of moving in, shit starts popping off. Like, I think the second day I'm moving back in, I'd like my roommate would like take a shower and he'd come out and be like, dude, how come every time I take a shower, all the sinks are on? And it's like just like weird shit like that. And then like people are like claiming to like see things like move in like the corner of their eye. And like everyone in the house is experiencing it.
Wow.
And it was weird, man, because like months would go by, nothing would happen. And then like all these like weird things would start happening in like a short time frame. And the next like crazy event that happened, I had some like roommates move out. And like I was kind of like cleaning up the place, and it's like late at night, and I was dating this like chick at the time, and she was like your like typical like blonde Scottsdale chick, and she was kind of like a hard ass bitch. Like she like never cried.
Okay,
and she was ready to mouth off to anyone. You know, like her dad was a doctor. You know, like one of those chicks.
Yeah.
And like she was a hard ass bitch. Like, I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
And I remember like it's like 8 p.m. It's just her and I chilling downstairs, and out of nowhere she just starts crying. Like made no sense. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, well, let's go get like froyo or something. And so I had a dog, like a blue nosed pit. And I like left him like a chew bone before I left, you know, just like keep him occupied. Like, all right, I'll be back in like 30 minutes. We come back and the bone's untouched. And I'm like, that's not like him, because he just tears right through him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like calling for him, and he's like nowhere to be found. And I go upstairs, and the couch is knocked over. And the coffee table, like the face of the table is pressed up against the wall. And my dog's like cowering in the corner and like peed everywhere.
Whoa.
And like no one's home. And my dog is like flipping the fuck out.
Wow.
And there was always that sense of like being watched. It was like that times like 10.
Whoa.
Like there was like something in the room.
Whoa.
And I remember even like because I never told my girlfriend about the house.
Yeah.
About it being like weird.
Yeah.
And she immediately was like, is your house haunted?
Yeah.
and I fucking left me high and dry. I was like, let's go on a walk. Because I didn't want to talk about it in the house.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like feed it.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to like word it, you know?
Yeah.
And I told her all on the walk, and she's just like, peace out, and like left.
Oh, really? Wow. She just went home?
Yeah. And like luckily my roommate came home shortly after, and like we always slept in the same room because him and I both had that feeling like, yo, something's here, you know? And so, you know, weird things like faucets turning on, you know, people like seeing objects move. I'm sure some of it was actually coincidence, you know, but like so many little things happen where it was like, this just can't be a coincidence. And so fast forward, because I always feel like the house got the final laugh. Fast forward, I move away. I moved to like Scottsdale. And one of my buddies that was renting a room was really close with my dad. And my dad was like, hey, I'll give you the same deal. Just pay the rent out the rooms. Yeah. It's yours. And after about a year, he moved out. And the day everyone moved out, one of the roommates died in the house.
What the fuck?
He got drunk, passed out, asleep on his back. And this is in the loft, by the way. I don't know what's up with that loft. Between the conversations, the coffee table, seeing the shadow, he passed out on his back in the loft, threw up, suffocated on his own vomit the day everyone moved out.
What the fuck?
And I just can't help but think, like, was that like the house's way of being like, nah, I get the final word.
Wow.
Yeah. And what was I going to say after that?
So insane. You know, one thing that I think, like, when you first told me and Issa some of these stories, or you told all of us, but like, what like blew our fucking mind was that, like, you as a person are like probably one of the least people that I would expect these type of stories from. You know, like, you're not like a woo-woo type person.
No.
You're not like
very logical,
a spiritual. You're a very straightforward, logical
the Jewish
person.
girl lied.
Yeah. So like hearing this stuff is like, it's so interesting. Yeah. Like it, you know, there's certain people that, like, I met one of Taylor's friends who said, like, this fucking spirits followed her for 2 years or something. I'm like,
and they tell you that out the gate of meeting them. You're like, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, shut up, bitch.
Yeah, it doesn't sound believable.
Yeah, how interesting, you know? And we've known each other for like 10 years now or something.
And it wasn't until 7-8 years in that I finally mentioned this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just like you as a person are just like so not this, not one to like you make stuff up, or even just like that. I wouldn't even consider you as someone who like you said, if believes in ghosts or something. Right. Like, just that's not the type of personality you are. So like to hear all these stories, it's so fucking nuts,
dude. And so like, I'll kind of dive into some other random stuff. Thank you, because I think I'm a logical person too. Yeah, you are. And like, look, maybe it all was coincidences. Yeah. Who knows? There's just so many stories where it's like, I don't think so.
That is crazy. Do you ever like know if like, first if like someone a long time ago died in the house?
But that's the thing. It's an anthem. All the houses are new.
Oh,
the only weird thing that maybe happened, and this is just a rumor. I don't know if there's any validity to this whatsoever. The developer that was developing houses out there, they were supposed to expand out way further. I think it would have been west, like for that subdivision, and they stopped because they discovered like an Indian burial ground.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay,
I don't know if that has something to do with it.
So there's certain areas actually in downtown Phoenix or in Arizona in general that are known archaeological zones.
Yeah,
where you have to do exploratory digs first before you build on it.
I remember you telling me about this.
Because there's like for this one, for instance, there was this one, like it was like 7 or 8 acres, not a huge property, but in like on the fringe of downtown Phoenix that they were going to build houses on.
Yeah.
And they had to do it. And so you start off by every like 30 yards, you dig a trench.
Yeah.
And then if you find something, then you got to do a super extensive dig and find stuff. And so on this one property, like 7 acres, they found like 250 bodies underneath.
Shit. And they think they were Indian or?
Like that, it's an Indian burial ground.
Gotcha.
Like a literal Indian burial ground. And there's actually an Indian community that like takes them and gives them proper burials.
I remember you mentioning that when you told me this.
It costs a lot of money too. Actually, it's like $2 or $3 grand per body. So like 250 costs like like $750 grand or something.
Yeah, not cheap.
You know? So and this was then. It's probably more expensive now.
Yeah.
But they fucking clean it up and they build apartments on it. Which is crazy to me because like you hear stories about Indian burial grounds. That's literally an Indian burial ground. So there's a big chance that like, and a lot of these places are generally unknown until someone digs and finds something. So like someone will like do some utility dig, find a body, and then be like, oh fuck, and then the city's like, you know, they report it and stuff. And so now because of these situations, there's known archaeological zones. But there's a chance that place in Anthem was unknown until like shit like that happened.
Who knows, right? How many houses were built before they discovered the first one?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like if you dug the trench in the right spot.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Maybe they're all centrally like located in this space that you just happen to put a park on.
Right.
Something.
Yeah. And so, because I remember when I was living there, I had my next door neighbor, him and I were pretty cool. I remember one day he was having like a block party. He was like, people got tased and shit. It was crazy. But anyways, that's another story. Anyways, I remember I pulled him aside and I was like, hey dude, this is going to sound really weird, but like, does anything weird happen in your house? And I didn't want to say ghosts. I wanted to see if he would mention that because then it would really confirm it.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to come out the gate with
this was just a neighbor or someone in
my
the
next door neighbor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we know each other for years. Right. I'm like, do you have anything weird in your house? He's like, no, why? And I'm like, hey man, I don't even believe in ghosts, but like there's some stuff that some would describe as paranormal activity happening here. And he was like, dude, I got nothing. And so I was like, I mean, maybe my house was just on the right spot. I don't know.
I don't know. How weird.
And like,
I'd be really curious to know if like the people that live in it now are going through anything.
I was literally about to mention that because my dad sold the house.
Yeah.
He even disclosed that someone died in it and someone still bought it.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to do that in Arizona.
Yeah, you don't have to. And he like so bad because it's 2 minutes away from the Anthem gym.
Yeah.
It's like I can just swing by it. But like call me a pussy. My one reason for not doing it.
You don't want it to follow you?
Yeah.
That's the reason? Huh?
Yeah,
maybe you can send it mail or something?
Maybe. And like, I don't know, what would you do if right now someone knocked at your front door and was like, hey, is your house haunted? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it would kind of fuck me up. It would kind of like throw off my mood. Because if I hadn't experienced anything, I'd be like, what the fuck? Now I'm going to start thinking about something.
Right. Stuff that you thought was wind a week ago was no longer wind.
Especially if I say that, it's not going to be like no, and then the conversation ends. You'd probably like I'd want some justification.
They would want to know, why are you asking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, like, here are all these horrible stories that happen in your house. And also, too, there's a chance that you sold it to your dad sold it to this guy. That guy knew about the death. You don't have to tell people
in Arizona.
So he sold it to someone else. They don't know.
Right.
You know. But the thing is, that's not even the like cause. That's not even like the cause. That's like the
no,
effect.
That was like I'm telling you, like it just feels like it was like the house being like, fuck you, I get the final word.
Yeah.
Like whatever was in there, I demon, ghost, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Well,
that I can assure you. It wasn't crazy. Just like a random being. And again, I'm not even claiming to know what it is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. If I had to guess, and then this is where my super woo weird part of me is gonna come out. Like, there seems to be some modern beliefs that like maybe aliens and demons are like the same thing and they can like interdimensionally travel. If I had to take a wild stab at what it is, something like that. But again, like, I don't know.
Alien?
Shit. It's weird, right? But whatever it wasn't good.
Interesting.
And so for the sake of something following me or something being reactivated, I haven't knocked on the door.
Maybe for those paranormal seekers, you could like write a letter of like, this is what happened, send it to them, have them go fuck up these people.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there is a chance that like the person that like lives in the house, like it's there, or there's a chance that it's like owned by BlackRock and like it's them gonna like lose out on a house.
True. But
always look up the ownership before you like do it.
Yeah,
or see like how many times it's sold over the past many years.
I should do that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll grow the balls to knock on the door, but it's like, you know what? I haven't had a fucking problem since.
Yeah.
And it's like, why reactivate it? You know, like
it's like a double-edged sword for like one, you don't want it to like fucking attach to you or something.
Right.
And two, you don't want to fuck up these people's lives if they're not having a problem.
You know, I don't want to like let my curiosity get the best of me
Yeah.
and cause any damage.
Yeah.
But you know, after that, I never had any issues. My sister claimed like when she first moved out, she lived by herself. She claimed that she would like wake up and like all of her dishes would be put out of the cupboard.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But she's like, it happened for like a couple months after she moved out. And then like, that was it. Even to this day, she hasn't had a problem.
Huh.
And I asked
Maybe
my
that
dad.
Could be her sleepwalking or something too.
Totally. Right. Like if you want to pinpoint each and every story, there's a good chance it was a random coincidence.
Yeah.
There's just so many times things happened where it was like, I don't think this was random.
Also, the guy dying in your house, like that's kind of crazy.
And like out of all
I know people do die, but like
it happens,
just drinking
right?
by himself.
But like out of, you know, because that guy lived there for 3 years. So you mean to tell me out of the 1,000+ days we live there, it's the day we all move out?
Yeah.
Like it's like it's a message.
How crazy.
You know? Yeah. So I mean, I'm lying to a degree when I say this, but if someone asks me, do I believe in ghosts, I'll say no. But if you were to pull out a Ouija board, I'd be like, peace. You know? Like I'm not fucking with it.
How interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
how crazy.
Yeah, man. It's who knows, man. Like and you hear of like crazier stories, like the Amityville Horror House or horror, whatever I pronounce it. You know, like who knows? Have you ever experienced anything?
You know, like I don't like disbelieve. I don't think I've experienced anything paranormal besides like talking to my grandpa when I was on 7 tabs of acid.
Yeah.
Like I had like a conversation with him, but I'd say it's mostly the acid.
Yeah.
It could have been him, like actually him.
And the acid was like a telescope for your brain, maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
It could have also been my fabrication of who he is, of this like person that I made, which to me, honestly, because I thought about it after, I'm like, it doesn't make any difference to me because it had such a profound
benefited your life one way or the other.
It had such a profound effect on me. I'm like, it really doesn't matter if if it was real or not. But I do think like I don't like watch those documentaries or anything because it's almost like I feel like inviting that type of energy.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's also one of the reasons why it's really tough for me to watch like any sort of documentary on something super negative, like the Epstein documentary. Like I started watching, and it's like, fuck, this is so horrible.
Oh, the monster one.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. You kind of get in like a negative mood.
Yeah, it's
it brings you down.
Like I know there's terrible stuff that happened. I don't really want to know like all the specific details.
Right.
Yeah, and so I kind of feel like the same thing with like the ghost stuff. Like I just like I don't want to like invite that negative energy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Nietzsche quote, and maybe this doesn't line up with it, but he's like, if you stare into the abyss long enough, it stares back at you.
Yeah,
it's like you don't want to investigate it too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Is like if you focus on the negative so much, it'll be like, cool, here I am inside you.
Yeah. So who knows, man? I don't know. Maybe next podcast we knock on the door.
That would be something. That would be something. Huh? That would be crazy. Maybe we do. The Rolls on Rolls guys are like starting the whole like media company and stuff.
Maybe are they really?
Like, maybe they'll watch this episode, see what's going on, see if they want to do a deep dive. Or
I'll send one of them and have them claim to have lived there and mention the stories. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like it's got to be genuine. Like I feel like you can come up, you can kind of. But detect bullshit pretty easy. Like it would be better, like for you to explain like what happened.
Yeah. I'm
or
curious.
Or like we said, maybe send it to one of those paranormal crazy people and just have them do the dirty work
and just create like an hour-long episode of nothing happening.
Yeah, exactly.
The only other experience I had outside of that, when I was 9 years old, I like saw something. But I'm always gonna throw in an asterisk. It could have been my brain playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
And long story short, it was back when I lived in Illinois. I went to this like mega church, like CCV out here, like a huge campus. Imagine that like times 2. You're in the fucking Bible Belt, right?
Wow.
And
like a Joel Osteen type.
Oh, dude, like stadium. You're talking like 2 layers of basement and 4 stories high and like the size of a stadium. This huge church, right? And I was there for like some like bullshit Christmas choir practice. It was like an all weekend event. And long story short, I'm on like the 3rd floor by myself, and there's like a long dark hallway, and the light switch isn't until the end of the hallway. So I'm freaked out, right? That's the out I'm gonna give. Maybe my brain was playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
So I like book it to the light switch because that's when I turn the light on. And as I'm running, all of a sudden everything goes in slow motion. Like I can't control it. Time like slows down. And I could control where I'm looking. I could control where I'm running. But my vision is foggy other than this one part on a wall. Like it's almost like, look here. And so I look because everything else is foggy. And I look, and out of this wall comes this thing 3 feet tall. It's 2 white glowing orbs. And then beneath that, 2 more white glowing orbs. And it's connected by like a glowing cobweb. And it spins out of the wall and spins into this dark room. That's the only other experience I've ever had. But again, I was a freaked out 9-year-old kid. Could it have just been my brain playing tricks on me?
Yeah.
I would totally take that as a reasonable answer, but nonetheless, I saw it.
Wow. How interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, ever since I moved out of that house, nothing, absolutely nothing, which thank God for that.
Wow. Yeah. That was inside that church?
It was inside the church. Yeah. And I didn't get like a bad presence from it, like the way I did in the house. Because like I said, out of all the individual events I pointed out that happened in the house, it doesn't make for a creepy story. But the creepiest thing was you felt like someone was in that room with you. You felt like you were being watched.
It's also pretty fucking crazy that someone died too.
Dude. Yeah. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like the final stamp on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how wild.
Yeah. All right, that's it for my ghost stories. I'm out of ghost stories.
All right, well, maybe on that positive note, we'll wrap this bitch up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for having me back.
Yeah, thank you for coming. That's honestly it's such a fun conversation. Always great talking to you. So,
hell yeah.
Love to have you on again sometime in the future.
We'll go door knocking.
Hell yeah. Let's go. All right, many oses.
Os.